Hi, everybody, and welcome to the FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 29. I am your host, and with me, as always, is my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hello, Jack.
Cold out there today, huh?
Yeah, but good day. I got Booster Juice, a burrito, and a donut.
As you regular listeners know, we always walk over to Booster Juice and grab
today, I didn't get a
Is
grilled cheese from Booster Juice.
Is Booster Juice a Canadian thing? I don't even know if they have it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's basically like...
Maybe they have it in Michigan.
Michigan loves us, so I don't know. Let us know, Michigan. Do you have Booster Juice? I think it's... Oh, no, it says right on the cup. Canadian-born, blended worldwide.
So...
Just look to the cup, people.
That's
it has
dumb
all your
on
answers.
our part.
But yeah, it's minus 17
lunch
degrees
day.
Celsius with a nice cutting wind, and we always walk the kilometer over to the through a
Yeah, it was
empty
really
field.
windy today, so it was much colder. I'm sure, same base temperature, but added wind, so it's colder.
Yeah, the wind was cutting, so we walked over. You also got some...
Yeah, good food for me lately.
Mucho
Got French
burrito.
toast for lunch yesterday, then we got Swiss chalet for dinner. And I finally ate some honeycomb this morning. And then I got a burrito and Booster Juice and a donut.
You say finally because your braces, the update is you can now eat, which is
I
nice.
can eat honeycomb.
Yeah, so he's
more
pretty much
importantly.
doing a really good job of eating everything now. The pain is sort of gone, I think, mostly, right? It's
Yeah.
feeling okay.
Yep.
So he's made the adjustment in just about a week, which is great. Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow is exciting. So listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going on the record. Me, who I consider quite an informed NFL fan, maybe over-informed, and you, who knows nothing and cares not. Ready? You're going to make your pick. Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Kansas City Chiefs? What's your pick?
Tampa, 'cause don't they have Gronk and Tom Brady?
Look at you. I just said you don't know anything about sports, and then you know that. But
I
that's
just remember you talking about that a lot.
And it's just from hanging out with me and your brother, probably,
Yes,
being in
that
the room.
is exactly what it is.
Okay, so that's good because I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been taking them all year. I think they're just going to
And Tampa's hosting WrestleMania, so.
They are. Tampa's playing at home, which I don't know if that matters or not. I don't know what the fan situation is, but that'll be what I'm doing
Florida's
tomorrow.
the psycho state in terms of COVID regulations, so I think that's kind of a given that a Florida-based team would have the home advantage.
And we're still in lockdown here.
You betcha.
Even going to Booster Juice, there's a 2-person limit. Not the people were respecting
Yep,
it, but
there's
we were.
at least 5 people.
Right. Not us. We waited outside, and they literally, because we go every Saturday and order the same thing, they just brought it out to us because they recognized us standing there. So that was a classy move by them, I thought.
Yeah, and if you order Booster Juice next time with us, you should definitely get a burrito.
I should get a burrito?
Yes.
We'll see.
You can, pick your own stuff.
You never know. So do you know what I'm doing after this, probably? Once I get this published?
Watching football.
No, there is no football today.
Watching
That's tomorrow.
basketball.
Well, I would love to, but I get the excitement of installing a new dishwasher.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to go pick it up. We ordered it. I have to go pick it up.
That sucks.
It does. I mean, apparently
That's not what I was expecting at all.
our old dishwasher's done well. We've had it about 10 years. But all of the wheels have corroded off.
I have
you've
a
noticed
question.
the bottom rack is basically
yeah.
a sled at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
I
time
have a question. Is there a Walmart where you're going?
I'm not going there. I'm just going to Lowe's.
Oh.
It's already paid for and everything. They're just going to throw it. Hopefully it fits in our vehicle. I'm bringing it home, ripping out the old one, seeing all the fun stuff that's underneath that dishwasher from 10 years of being there, which will be exciting.
I hope there's a wrestling belt.
There might be.
Maybe that's where my smoking skull belt went.
Anything the cat has thrown in there and under there will be there. We'll see.
Yeah, we found a crap ton of stuff. Remember when so I threw a Jello and I messed it up. It bounced off the fridge, went perfectly under
So
the oven.
a box of Jello. It sounds like you just threw a handful of Jello at me.
Yeah, the box, and then when we were getting out, a bunch of cat toys under there.
Of course.
Yeah.
cat
So
toys
maybe
end up
it'll
everywhere.
be something like that. Although I don't know if anything would fit under the dishwasher.
People
see.
also come here, I'm sure, for their Raptors update. Huge win last night over the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, that's why you listen to a wrestling podcast
To listen
hear
to
about
me
the
talk
Raptors.
about how Kyle Lowry outperformed Harden and Irving and Durant. So take that, Nets fans. We got you.
Nice.
And controversy came out of it because Kevin Durant, it was his first time not starting because there was some COVID issue. They were triple checking his contact history and then let him play. And then about halfway through the game, he was removed. So
nice.
I'm not sure if my beloved Raptors were exposed to a guy with COVID for half a basketball game, which I won't be super thrilled about, but I guess we'll see what happens with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to chat about in the banter section of the pod before we move on?
That's
That's great
nope.
for podcast, by the way, when you just make noises and say no words. People love it, I'm sure.
Yes.
The only other thing I'm hoping is that the audio is slightly improved today. I've got sort of a consultant, if you will.
Oh
I don't
my
know if
God.
he'd call
Yeah,
himself
okay.
that, but just got a prolific podcaster who I just started chatting with on YouTube, who I won't mention him by name because maybe he doesn't want to be affiliated with this, but if he gives us the go ahead, I will. But if he happens to listen to this, you know who you are. Thank you very much. I'm trying to implement the suggestions you've made. He was quite complimentary of our sound already, but just he's a bit of an expert, so and I have no idea what I'm doing. So
I have
just
even less idea what I'm doing.
I asked him
than
for a
that.
couple suggestions of tweaks we could make, so I'm going to make them, and we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, I say we move into some actual wrestling talk. What do you think?
That would make sense.
It would make sense on a wrestling podcast.
We've literally, in our banter, been talking about any sport not wrestling. Football, basketball.
Well, sometimes I think some of our friends and family who like us and not necessarily wrestling, this is their favorite part, and then they tune out. So we'll give them, they've got a good 6.5 minutes of our banter today. So enjoy it, people, because we're moving on. And our first segment, as always, will be news and rumors.
Yeah.
And I will start with the ratings, as I tend to do. So week 69 of the Wednesday Night War saw AEW Dynamite defeat WWE NXT in viewership and ratings yet again. Shocking, right? What? I know.
Wow.
So Wednesday was beach break for AEW Dynamite, and it drew 844,000 viewers, and NXT earned 610 viewers, so that works out to a 30...
See, I really want to criticize AEW, for naming a TV thing after someone's finisher, but WWE also have SmackDown, so...
The whole show named after somebody's catchphrase, or one of his catchphrases.
I'm just gonna not say that.
So before I was interrupted there, I was about to say it was a 38% margin of victory for AEW in terms of viewership. And in terms of the beloved 18 to 49 demographic, AEW drew a .32 in that rating, which is up 10% from last week, while NXT drew a .15 in the same demo, which is down 29%.
Nice.
And the percent by which Dynamite won that one is 113%.
Is that good?
That's a pretty big difference, yes.
Nice.
Basically, this is just yet another week where AEW wins, and this week they won rather handily, right?
What are you talking about? They lose all the time.
Right. Have they lost? I would guess a couple times, maybe.
I think like once or twice.
I'd have to check, but...
There were like the couple weeks. There was like the first week or two where like NXT was like half on USA, and right, and then there's also the couple weeks for NXT Super Tuesday.
Yeah, where things were shifted around, so who knows.
But I know they lost at least once because I remember like... But I don't think it was by a lot.
No, probably not. Do you have anything for news?
So Carlito made his return in the Royal Rumble, which was pretty cool. I was happy to see.
Looking huge.
Yeah, he looked really good. And apparently he's on like a 3-week kind of trial WWE after MVP has pushed for him to be rehired as a wrestler/producer.
Yep.
He's not super old, right? So I think he could actually...
he's not.
Like, as long as he's not like... I think he'd be in the mid-card at best, which I think is fine.
Yep.
He'd be a credible challenger and even like a decent champion again. Or like.
And I hear a backstage role is possible as well, producing and stuff. So
I'd just like to see him wrestle because I haven't really seen him. So.
And just another guy back, right? It seems to be what they do. They can't make new stars, so just bring back old ones. Although this one I mind less than some.
Damn you, Edge. Sure. Damn you.
Right. Okay, so my next one was the Tyler Rex news. So he's recently come out as trans and is now Gabby Tuft.
Because his real name was Gabe Tuft.
Right. So I actually watched an interview from Wrestling Inc.
I think he's featuring on some show about it.
So she was super open and honest about her situation. Seems really happy. Talks about like feeling like basically she's been freed from a prison sentence, and just seems really happy. And she addresses a few myths in the interview that this is not a mental illness piece, and other things. And I think it's an important interview because everyone, and maybe especially some wrestling fans, could be a little more tolerant of people in general, right? So we're sort of going on record here. The FNS Wrestling Podcast is a very tolerant podcast. You be how you want to be and make yourself happy as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. Why should anyone care? Mm-hmm. So good for Gabby Tuft. She seems really happy, and if it works for her and her family, then that is all that really matters. So that was kind of an interesting news item.
Yeah, I was really surprised, but I mean, it's like a little weird to me, but like good for her.
Yep, absolutely. Anything from you?
So NXT TakeOver's finally got its branding. It is NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day.
Do not like. You don't either, I know.
I don't just like. It's not the worst, but it just sounds weird. Like when you say Fire and Flava. Like
it's also so close to a main roster one, right? Like.
And I think it's just like it's like their take on Valentine's Day. It's Vengeance Day because they're all like gritty or whatever.
Oh, is that where the connection is?
I think because like why would it be if it was just they're using Vengeance, it'd be NXT TakeOver Vengeance. But I think it's Vengeance Day because it's on Valentine's Day, so it's like
I guess I didn't even make that connection, but I suppose.
But you know what I mean?
That makes sense a little bit.
I don't know. It's just a weird kind of name.
Don't like the sound of it.
Realize today is the 6th, so that's coming up soon.
It is coming up soon.
Next weekend.
Yep. And your mom's Valentine, one part of her gift came, and it was in a box that was so clearly labeled. She knows exactly what it is.
Is that her Valentine's Day or
it was
her
part
birthday?
of it, yeah. She wanted one, so I got her
Yeah, it's like the ringside box, big fat logo.
Right, labeled right on it with the model and the color and everything. What can you do?
Yeah, like if I looked up the code because they have like shipping code numbers or whatever, like then I'd be able to figure out.
That would be next level sneakiness. Just let the world have some surprises for you would be my advice. The next thing I had was on the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio. Dave Meltzer confirmed, I don't know if we needed him to, that AEW and New Japan are in a working relationship.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Spoiler for AEW, but Kenta attacked Moxley after the main event. This is huge.
He said that a deal needed to be made in order for New Japan to have Moxley back on their shows to defend the U.S. title. So in return for that, they did send Kenta to Dynamite, which was pretty cool.
I think there's just both have such vast and amazing rosters. The potential is truly limitless here.
My only fear would be some of the like young up and comers on Dynamite or something get kind of lost in the shuffle because there's like an influx of established stars they can use. But as a fan of wrestling,
there's just so much you could do, like Will Ospreay versus Pac.
Yep.
I think Moxley versus Kenta, obviously, because they are feuding in New Japan.
Yep.
Kenny Omega's been there already, so Kenny Omega and the Bucks are kind of like it'd be kind of they're facing people again. But like I don't know.
I would watch
Darby Allin
any
versus
of it,
somebody. Imagine like Darby Allin versus like I don't know Minoru Suzuki or something.
Yep, I love Minoru.
I don't know. Just there's so much potential there. I can't wait to see what comes of this. And might make me watch New Japan.
So Meltzer sort of went on to add the future is obviously unclear due to the pandemic, but that wrestlers that live in the United States may be able to come. So Kenta lives in Orlando at this point.
So that would explain.
Made it easier for him to get there, I guess. I don't quite know how it works, but Meltzer also noted that there are several people in AEW that can't wait to go back to Japan, and that anything is possible, including like an Ibushi Omega match, which would be amazing. So basically, I don't know,
Especially because they're both champs.
Great news for wrestling fans. Open up some pretty fun combinations of wrestlers.
I think
hopefully.
It'd be interesting, especially for Omega, because he's got so much history there.
Right.
I mean, any member of the Elite, I think, has a lot of history there, so that'll be interesting. I'd want to see Jay White face somebody.
Of course. There's just amazing talent on both rosters, and if you can mix them together, that's going to be amazing.
I don't know if we covered it on the podcast, but I know I told you that Jay White, he signed like a 7-year thing or whatever in 2018, so
Your dreams of him coming were...
He's not leaving for a while.
Nope. All right, what do you have next? I only have a couple more items.
Lars Sullivan and Steve Cutler released, and possibly more to come from WWE.
Right.
So, Black Wednesday or Black whatever 2.0, 3.0 actually. Sorry.
It happens every year, at least once, where they just purge a whole
like
bunch of people. Or
every couple years at least.
And then bring half of them back within the next 3 years, and it's just this revolving door, basically. So. Yeah,
they do have
no great loss there, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think
Sullivan had potential, but that was like a while ago.
Well, and his outside the ring stuff, I don't need to see him on my television, frankly.
Yeah, he's not. He was really cool in NXT, I remember.
He's got a crazy look, right?
Yeah, he's big.
And I love the way they introduced him in NXT back in the day, but anyways.
He was like tagging with jobbers, and then
and then losing, and then killing them, right?
Right.
It was pretty funny.
It was unique.
It was. I liked it a lot.
And Steve Cutler, I think Forgotten Sons just sucked in general.
He's just been like a mid-card
I remember when I started watching NXT, he was a jobber, and then I recognized him when they started the Forgotten Sons. The Forgotten Sons never did anything. The gimmick was weird and ironically did get forgotten really quick.
Yep.
So
I don't think that's any big loss, either of them.
Yeah, I don't think there's there wasn't enough to the gimmick. Yeah, but not big releases, but like
releases nonetheless. In a pandemic, which sucks. They probably have families and anyways. My last news bit was Trey Miguel spoke about his decision to stay with Impact and not go to NXT with Dez and Wentz.
I also saw this, kind of interesting.
So basically, he was saying that he's at a different place in his life, that the other two are married and engaged, and he said that, quote, they just need wrestling in a different way. He also took kind of a thinly veiled shot at Impact, saying that Impact had, quote, run out of things to do with the Rascals. He also cited family-related reasons as another factor for him not wanting to relocate. And he is also the head trainer at a wrestling school where he lives, right? So Impact sort of affords him the freedom to keep that running and do that. So I imagine that would be a big deal for him, right? The fact that he can keep running this wrestling school that he is would, I'm sure, be a huge factor in his decision to stay there.
Yeah, I saw this is interesting and definitely makes sense and good for him for having his priorities straight, I guess.
And I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I think he is a very talented guy, and I'm interested to see now that he is kind of on his own, and he does have a bit of a new look and stuff, what he's going to do. So it's interesting. What else do you have?
My last one is apparently, you remember Rick Victor?
Yeah, I do.
Apparently he was almost a member of the Wyatt family before it was shut down by Triple H.
Interesting.
I feel like, I don't know, it's hard to tell because obviously then he wouldn't have been in the Ascension, but could have worked. There's no way of knowing because...
Well, and the Ascension didn't work out so great for him, I guess. So
no, I mean, it did at first, but...
It did at first, you're right. In NXT, they were fantastic. But again...
That's how it goes.
Get called up to the main roster.
That's how it goes literally all the time.
And you're done. That's right. Yep.
Like, Damian Priest is pretty much dead already.
Well, he had a good showing. We'll get into that.
He had a good showing in the Rumble, and a WWE Shop's bestseller right now, Bad Bunny, woohoo, that's dumb, I hate it.
Do you have any other news?
No. Right. I just wanted to mention that I did see something on WWE's website, speaking of WWE Shop. You know, like, those Signature Series belts that they have?
I do.
And they're, like, the special ones. They are a classic Intercontinental title for Razor Ramon. I'll show you it later. It looks really cool.
Nice. Well, I don't know if you prepared for this or you're just going to kind of go off the cuff. I did a little bit of a... So we're going to talk about, before we get into AEW as we usually do first, we're going to do a quick Royal Rumble Turbo review.
Oh, yeah.
So... We said that if the show was amazing, we would probably do a bonus podcast. So you can already tell we didn't think it was amazing, but I actually thought it was a pretty good show.
The Rumble matches were actually not bad.
So I'm just going to quickly recap.
And crap, I forgot to get those entrant thingies. Remember we had the entry times?
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
we actually did record them. It's like some of them were ridiculous, like 3 minutes.
You're just going to reveal the depth of our nerdery. I started timing the intervals between the entrants.
There was one that was like 100 or 120 something, so like a minute 20, whatever.
They ranged from a minute 20 to over 3 minutes. They actually were
pretty close to it for the majority of the time. So yeah, it just.
And when they weren't, you could see it was because they were waiting for a pretty significant spot to be.
The 3-minute one.
Right. So it started out with. I don't know if it was the first. I think I have them in order, but I don't even remember. Sasha Banks defeating.
Some of our matches we didn't, or like some of the matches we didn't have in our.
Like this one. Yeah. Sasha Banks defeated Carmella to retain her championship.
But I think we would have both predicted.
Picked Sasha for sure.
Yes.
I thought this was a decent match, although I preferred their previous one to this.
Yeah, and I just really don't like this feud. Just anything Carmella.
I can't believe that she wasn't injured after that dive. Like I literally gasped.
Laughed.
It looked very painful.
I laughed.
So Carmella's improved for sure, but for me, like
I think this gimmick is not as good as her other one though.
In a company where there's talents too, right? Like Bayley, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Asuka, etc.
I was
add Ripley, add Belair probably. Yeah. It's clear that she's at least a tier below all of them, right? Even Baszler. So
yes, Baszler.
I don't think she deserves a ton of focus and attention, but I have to give her credit. She has improved for sure.
I watched this video like why WWE's kind of failing is because like they have so much like top tier talent, right? Like everybody's got to be like winning and whatnot.
Yes, the even.
But
Steven.
Like, right? No, but like even like I don't know. It's like all the guys they got to be winning because like they're all like top tier talent. It's like there's no real top or bottom. In like the women's division, you can really tell like Sasha Banks is at the top and like Liv Morgan's towards the bottom, right? Like you can tell. But in the men's divisions, like there's just their roster's so stacked. It's just like, and also no one really young.
And they're
like,
kind of afraid to make one guy look a lot stronger than another. So this
like
leads
Keith
to all
Lee
your...
could have benefited from that, but that did not happen.
It leads to all your cheap finishes and even Steven booking. Yeah.
But the video's really interesting. Maybe I'll send it to you.
Sure.
It was well cultured, but it was really interesting.
As long as they're not yelling and whatever, I don't know. I mean, people may suggest that I'm too low energy on a podcast, but some of the ones are just too hyped up for me all the time. I just want to relax and listen, man. Drew McIntyre defeated Goldberg in basically a 3-minute match.
Okay, so he hit a Claymore basically right away. That should have been it.
And they brawled outside the ring to start, right? So there was a little bit of that. It's basically how I wanted it to go, right? I listened back to last week, and I was hoping it was like 10 seconds long, but I guess this is about...
it could have been similar. 10 seconds long. I don't think Goldberg deserved to kick out of a Claymore, but...
Goldberg got his moves in. The jackhammer wasn't great.
It wasn't a brainbuster, though, so there's that.
He got him up, and Drew's a huge man, right? Like, it was funny. We saw Drew, at a house show, and I tried to warn you and Mom that he's, like, bigger than he looks. When you see him in person from reasonably close, he is humongous.
We mentioned it before. We saw McIntyre versus Andrade before TakeOver.
We did. So I thought if this had to be a match involving Goldberg, this is basically how I wanted it to go. Yep. So I thought it was good for what it was, and I didn't really have a problem.
But I don't really care because it's Goldberg, so I didn't care.
Right. Bad Bunny. Sorry. Bad Bunny performed his quote-unquote hit song that I've never heard of him or his hit song.
It's called Booker T. And literally the only resemblance to Booker T it had is he
stood there.
Yeah, he had his catchphrase at the end. I think he was speaking like Spanish or something, but oh my god, this was terrible.
Which is fine, but yeah, I wasn't worried about what language it was at all. It sounded bad. He sounded bad, and it
sounds like he was just like generically rapping to a beat.
And I don't think we're being mean or that it's not our genre, because everything I've listened to and read reviews of the Rumble, people are saying the same thing.
It just like.
I actually thought his performance musically was the worst thing he did. I thought everything else he did, the top rope move was he slipped, but he still recovered, and it was okay. But I thought everything he did was like his mannerisms and his facial expressions and stuff, I thought were pretty good. But his music, not so much.
He's not a great promo either, as we saw on Raw.
I don't know. He's a huge wrestling fan, so I'll give him marks for that. We'll see where it goes, I guess. Yep. But the musical performance was not good.
Oh my god, that was brutal.
Women's...
sorry. I'd just like to note, they say he's like a hit song on a shirt. I've never heard of this guy ever in my entire life. And even Nate, who's into some rappers, he's never heard of this guy either. So, like, I
guess we're just not cool. Our family's not super cool.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I passed it on to you guys.
Yep.
Then we get the women's Rumble match where my choice and yours, I think, Bianca Belair outlast 29 other superstars to win the 2021 women's Royal
Either her or
Rumble.
Baszler, and I was happy. So, this is great. I think the final two was her and Ripley, right? So good on WWE. Because either way, I would have been happy.
One of the things I really loved when it got down to the final two, remember they're both kind of on the apron. And they're just like, Rhea's like, let's not do anything crazy. Let's get back in there. I thought that was a really cool touch for some reason.
And you were like worried because she entered number 3. I'm just like, I don't know. Ric Flair did it. And she did. So.
Yep. WWE main roster made a decision that I agree with. And not only do I agree with it,
they made the right decision.
I was basically demanding it, right? Like if she doesn't win and you don't just have her dominate, I don't know what you're doing. Unlike the men's match, I thought
we'll talk about that.
This match actually put the spotlight on some fresh stars.
And we had like Victoria in here, which I thought was like, because they do so many returns in the women's Rumble, because it's not as strong as a roster as men's, but like I thought that was a good return because it was like it's not like Trish Stratus again, you know.
Yep. So they focused on Ripley and Belair a lot, and as I said, I liked that spot near the end where they decided to get back in the ring.
Also, apparently on the kickoff, Baszler and Jax won the tag titles back, so that was a nice surprise. And also, Baszler's ring gear was amazing.
Another little thing I loved in this Rumble match was Ripley not being afraid of Alexa Bliss starting to do her ridiculous, in my view,
she was starting to do her transformation, then Rhea Ripley
just
eliminates her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I saved you all.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to see Alexa Bliss doing that stuff. It's not for me.
She oozed goo out of her mouth on Raw.
And B, I don't even know what it would have looked like if she was going to do her stuff, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have liked it. So there
was something about this Rumble match, not just because of the winner, but just something about it I really liked.
Me too.
I think this is one of the best, if not the best, women's Rumble matches.
I enjoyed
like,
it.
It was kind of like the War Games. Like, I think both Rumble matches here were good, but like the women's one was like, it pleasantly surprised me. It was like pretty good.
Yeah, so our surprise sort of returns were Victoria Jillian Hall, who I thought looked pretty good actually, and Tori Wilson.
Billie Kay was one of the things that made this great. Billie Kay.
That was my next point. Billie Kay's comedy stylings really worked for me. I thought she provided the perfect amount of comic relief.
Yeah, so she was like sitting on commentary and looking for a tag partner. She tried to, I think there was Ember Moon. She tried to get
so she
Tony
comes
Storm
down and just refuses to enter the ring, right? And then everybody else that's coming down, she has like her headshots and resume ready. And she's sort of like, hey, let's team together.
And then she performs Billy and Jilly with Jillian Hall. Yep. I also thought Jillian Hall was kind of an interesting return.
Yeah, it was. She looked pretty good, actually, like in ring-wise.
Them kind of teaming together for a bit, it was actually kind of funny. And there's like the brief kind of Iconics reunion where they did one of their team moves.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a nice bit. Charlotte and Lacey Evans stuff was dumb.
Yeah, I have no interest.
For the most part, this is a really good Rumble match.
It was. My one complaint, and it's about WWE in general lately, it seems like they're getting really aggressive with their camera cuts. Like sometimes we're not even seeing the full impact of a move before they're cutting away to something else. But anyways, the only other thing I would say is another criticism is they missed what I think was supposed to be a pretty big moment. And that was Belair eliminating Bayley. So they missed it in real time and had to show a replay, basically. So that probably isn't how they wanted that to go, I don't imagine. Because Belair eliminating Bayley
I think they were feuding.
Big deal.
Belair did some weird obstacle course on SmackDown.
Yep. And Belair's post-match interview was amazing, right? She was super emotional and crying. This looks like this is a wrestling fan who's sort of fulfilling a dream.
And 100% deserved.
And this has become a moment that everybody's talking about is her post-match. And I would just say to you, WWE, this is what happens when you make new stars.
When you book something properly.
Right? You get these moments. So think about that.
This is great.
So overall, really liked the match. I thought it flowed really well. Love the result, obviously.
Billie Kay was funny.
I just wish Belair's character had been developed a little further before this, so giving her a win of this magnitude, but still amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns then defeated Kevin Owens in a last man standing match to retain his championship.
Yeah.
And I feel like we might disagree on
this
one.
I liked him more than you. I thought some of the spots were good. Kevin Owens definitely took his dues here.
So he took a beating here, and I don't know if it was worth it for him.
Yeah, they did kind of botch the finish.
And guys falling off high things onto a crash mat for the millionth time doesn't really... Like, I love Kevin Owens, and Roman Reigns is better than he's ever been, but, like... This is stuff I've seen a million times. There was nothing innovative. There was nothing... sorry, that's not true. The golf cart spot was really cool.
The golf cart, yeah.
But everything else, despite being a spectacle, wasn't anything new, really.
Yeah,
to me, right?
I still thought it was like a decent match. It was enjoyable.
I didn't hate it.
Considering it was main roster, it could have been 1,000 times worse.
I actually thought that the idea, this is one of those idea versus execution, right? The idea of the handcuffs was really clever because it was locked so low that Reigns couldn't stand up.
Right, and I liked them pulling the ref into like the light.
And in a last man standing match, putting this guy in a spot where he can't stand up is a pretty smart tactic, right?
And I liked them using the heel tactic to take out the ref, but then the botch part came when the handcuffs...
Severe botch.
Yeah.
Heyman couldn't unlock the handcuffs. The ref is counting for this last man standing match, and he just simply has to stop counting because Heyman just couldn't get these unlocked for...
Yeah, because this would have been really cool if it was...
If it had if they pulled it off
this would have been awesome. Like, it would have been like when Sami Zayn was using the handcuffs, and remember in the ladder match?
Yeah.
It was like really cool.
So I wasn't exactly bored by this match, but I can't say I was entertained either, which is too bad because I love Owens and I'm into Reigns' character right now. So it was a bit of a miss for me, but it still wasn't enough to overall dislike the entire match.
Yeah, I definitely liked them more than you, but yeah, I see your point.
Then we get to the men's Royal Rumble match where just remember, I don't want your sound clipping, so don't start yelling and screaming. If you're going to yell, back away from the mic. So Edge outlasts a late reappearance by Randy Orton. That part I liked. To win the 2021 men's Royal Rumble. I enjoyed this match overall. I just hated the outcome. I don't know how I know you hated the outcome for sure. I don't know how you felt about the rest of the match. Deep breaths. So my issue with this match, especially after listening to and reading several reviews, is that the majority of the attention that people are talking about, Edge, Christian, Carlito, and this is one of my main issues with WWE, focusing on the past here while basically ignoring the
like, look at the difference between the Rumble winners this year. You have a bona fide future star, Bianca Belair. Sorry. And Edge, who he's won the Rumble before 10 years ago. Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
so when I think
the gap between wins.
When I think of all the talented wrestlers that are underused in this company, and the Rumble is largely focusing on the guys that were wrestling 20 years ago. I watched all of these guys in their prime and I enjoyed it. But now, as a 30 whatever year wrestling fan, I'm waiting for the next crop of stars. And WWE seems reluctant or refusing to build them, at least in the men's division, and I don't understand it. And it bugged me, but I did enjoy the match, I have to say.
Yeah, the match was good, but never have we seen such a big gap between wins since Triple H, which is 14 years between 2002 and 2016. But let me put this into perspective a little more. Edge is not... He's the star of the past. He won the Rumble 10 years ago, and 20 years ago, he won the King of the Ring. That's how long this guy's been around.
Yep.
He's winning the Royal Rumble match to win a main event world title match at WrestleMania in 2021.
But we can't find anything to do for Keith Lee or Aleister Black
Matt
or Buddy
Riddle.
Murphy or Andrade or Angel Garza.
Angel Garza got replaced by Otis in the last second.
We've got nothing for those guys. But anyways.
So and another thing that annoys me, other than an old person winning the Rumble match when he did not need it or deserve it at all. He and Orton both started the match. They're stars of the past. They should not have done that. It was a horrible choice. And I think SmackDown has many better winners. Nakamura, Bryan, and Rollins, if Rollins had turned face, all have a beef with Roman Reigns. I think it would create an amazing storyline, and all three of them could have a good match, even if it's like a four-way or a triple threat. Like, any combination of those guys could have a good match with Roman Reigns, and now we're stuck with 40-year-old whatever Edge in the main event. Like, it's just so ridiculous, and I'm not even mad because Jay White wasn't there, but just because they're looking so far to the past for main eventers. Like, it's like
they look over that roster and they don't believe that anyone can sell tickets
like
for Mania.
Like, they have Goldberg challenging Drew McIntyre.
Tickets to sell, maybe, I don't know.
And then Edge winning the Rumble. Like, just the difference in the Royal Rumble winners, it's just ridiculous.
So you mentioned Rollins. He did return as I predicted, but unfortunately he's still doing the same character, which never...
Yeah, I thought I thought if he had returned as a babyface, like, I think they've given him enough time that I think people could get behind him again. His Twitter nonsense is what got him into, like, the Roman Reigns situation, ironically, right?
I think if there were fans, then they might have switched his character, but there'll be no pop, right? Well, I mean, there would be because they would program it.
Even then, I think it's perfect timing. If he had returned as a babyface, I think he'd be a very popular winner, and then, like I said, he would have an amazing feud with Roman Reigns. We know these guys are both amazing. We know they can have good matches with each other. So I just think it was amazing. The potential was like...
Yeah, they didn't care.
Yeah, this is dumb.
Sorry, I was going to say young wrestler, but if you look him up, I bet you he's not that young. But a new wrestler that did get some shine and some attention was Damian Priest, who I thought looked good. I think I predicted him making an appearance, too. I think we'll have to revisit right after this. I'll scroll down to our predictions and have a look. I don't think you're going to be happy with how it went. So Priest had a good showing, and he seemed to fit in really well on the main roster, but again, overshadowed by the 40-plus-year-old set, which I think is somewhat disappointing.
Kane was also in the Rumble, but I was actually kind of happy because he's kind of like Royal Rumble
legend. That's fine, and he's just there as a nostalgia. He's not there going forward. He's not going to
win the Rumble from number 1 in 2021.
Strowman was back looking extra jacked. He put in a pretty solid performance. I knew he was
gone, but I couldn't remember what he was gone from. Oh, yeah, he returned on SmackDown.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah. He was gone from the kayfabe suspension, I think. Yeah.
Yep. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good show, to be honest. A fairly long show by pandemic standards for pay-per-views. So nice. But I never thought it dragged. I thought both Rumble matches in particular flowed really well and had no real lulls. No matches blew me away, but none were awful either. So I thought it was a solid pay-per-view top to bottom. I gave it
definitely worthy of like the Royal Rumble name, I would say.
I gave it a B and almost a B+, but I stuck with a B.
I think that's fair.
Yeah?
I'd agree with you
so
on that one.
So I'm quickly going to check our predictions from last week. I think I kept them. and I think I win, if I remember correctly. You're going to love it. So we had... neither of us took... We both took Flair and Asuka, so no. We both took Reigns, so yes. You took Miz, I took McIntyre, so that's for me. Riddle Lashley didn't happen. We both picked Belair, so my final 3 I had were Belair, Ripley, and Charlotte. So I was pretty bang on, right? And in the men's, I had Edge to win as one of my choices. You did not.
I was going to pick him too, but I swapped him out for Jay White, which is even more angering.
So surprise entrance, we both got 2 out of 3, and surprise entrance for women, I got 1 in Rhea Ripley, and you got none. So by our scoring, I was the victor, 7-4. That's right.
Also, I predicted
Big
something.
Big brain on Dad.
I predicted something after the Royal Rumble, and it sounds so perfect. I just hate it. Think about it, because last year we had Edge and Orton feuding, right? And yeah, they supposedly just had their last match on Raw, but I don't buy that for a second. So they had the last Man Standing match at WrestleMania, the one that was way too long, right? Then they had the greatest wrestling match ever, and Edge got injured, right? And I think they were supposed to have the big blow-off at this year's WrestleMania, right? I've heard the rumors. So? I've heard the rumors that like they were supposed to have like an I Quit match at Mania.
Yeah.
And I feel like they'd have Orton win the chamber match and win the title from Drew again, right?
Yeah.
And then we get their big blow-off match at WrestleMania for the title because Edge won the Rumble, and that just sounds
Not
like
happening.
Something they would do.
I don't think so, though. I don't know.
I know. I think it's less likely now that they had that match on Raw, but I just think it still sounds like something they would do.
Right.
And it's not quite the same, but it'd be similar to Brock versus Goldberg, because they had the match in 2004 at WrestleMania, then they had Survivor Series 2016, and then they had their title match at Mania. So.
Yep.
But I don't know. That just sounds awful, but also something they would do.
Well, I think we'll wrap up our Royal Rumble Turbo review.
Yeah.
And head into our first in-depth review of the Wednesday Night Wars, and that is our AEW Dynamite review.
Mm-hmm. Time to talk about better wrestling.
Yeah, hopefully.
Acceptable wrestling.
So it's Beach Break, right?
Yes,
this
it
week?
is Beach Break.
Tell us about it.
So our first match was, I think, a nice choice for an opener. The Tag Team Battle Royal for the Revolution Tag Team title shot. Love a good Battle Royal.
And they did that last year too, right?
Yep.
And I think I liked it a lot better last year. But anyways.
They said if one member of the team was eliminated, they're both out, but then they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if one member of the team's eliminated, the other one stays. And
yeah.
The Acclaimed get a quick wrap in, which I was happy about because that was nice.
On their entrance, so I have a question for you. Because Bowens did the Acclaimed have arrived at the end of it. Is that new, or has he always done that?
I think he's done that before.
Because I like it because they found something. Because the entrance is really showcasing Caster, right? So I think they need to have. It's almost like Road Dogg coming out and just crushing on the mic, and Billy Gunn saying almost nothing. So it's nice that they found Bowens something to say at least at the end of their entrance, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the Bucks in their entrance, they take off their gear and then jump onto the piles because everybody's waiting at ringside.
Right.
Table Seal kicked a Private Party, and then a mass brawl, and then so I'm gonna mostly be covering eliminations and then anything.
Yeah, it was a lot. There's too much going on for moves kind of stuff.
Isaiah Cassidy misses a dive onto the pile in the ring, and the brawl continues, which I thought was kind of funny because that's just something different.
Yep.
Private Party eliminate one half of Private Party and Dante Martin.
Yeah, there was fast eliminations, right? Because I was still under the impression that both of them were out. I'm like, wow, Top Flight's out already, and then we're like, oh no, Darius is still in. So the rules are not what we thought.
Mm-hmm. And then the Dark Order eliminate Jake Hager.
Mm-hmm.
And Jericho and MJF eliminate Anthony Bowens. Luchasaurus goes on a kick, striking spree.
Yeah, he looked good there.
And a slam to Darius Martin. Chokeslams Nick Jackson onto Darius. And a Pele kick by Stu Grayson, but then he's eliminated by Luchasaurus.
I thought the pace really picked up with Luchasaurus and Grayson. That was the first, I was like, oh yeah, here we go, right?
And then the Dark Order eliminate Luchasaurus, which is an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's okay. MJF eliminates Evil Uno. Darius cuts off the silly string to eliminate Mark Quinn, which is a nice elimination. Their move backfiring on them.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know why you would do that move in a Battle Royal, because it's literally like...
one guy standing on the outside of the apron. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the other guy's flipping over the top rope back in. Yeah, it's not the best tactics, I would suggest.
Mm-hmm. In a normal match, whatever, go for it. But
of course,
not smart here. Silver double. Oh yeah, John Silver does a double suplex to PNP. Private or Proud and Powerful.
Yes, he is a strong man.
I wrote Silver, so it says Silver double suplex, and that would just sound weird because silver is like a color, so.
Sure.
I just confused myself there.
It happens.
And then Private Party eliminates Silver, so I think one of them helped on the outside because they're kind of heels now.
Right.
Nick eliminates Ortiz, Nick Jackson then eliminates Santana, so Proud and Powerful are out of here. Good Brothers interfere and eliminate Isaiah Cassidy. And then MJF eliminates a distracted Nick Jackson. I think Matt Jackson was already eliminated, but he got thrown onto the entrance ramp, and then that's an elimination. I don't think, in my opinion, that shouldn't count because the entrance ramp is level with the ring apron. So what if you get thrown over in that direction, right?
Your feet don't hit the floor. They don't think they have that rule.
Yeah, I know, but but what if you land on the apron? How can you define if they're eliminated? Because it's all level. You know what I mean? I just think that shouldn't count. But
wow, you put a lot of thought into that.
No, it just is weird. MJF eliminates Jungle Boy, and Caster eliminates MJF. Darius eliminates Max Caster. Jericho and Guevara double team Darius as they are the final three. Jericho accidentally eliminates Guevara while trying to eliminate Darius. Final two, Darius Martin and Chris Jericho. And then Jericho eliminates Darius for the win for he and MJF. They'll be facing the Young Bucks for the tag titles at Revolution. Thoughts?
I thought the middle part of this was really fun and held my interest. The rest was fine. I seem to remember previous AEW Battle Royals doing a better job of furthering a lot of different storylines, but this one did a little bit of that as well. And again, it was a fun opener, right? I have no problem with the winner. That's a high-profile match, right?
Yeah, what was that Battle Royal when you had Hangman and Matt Hardy and?
I forget what it was, but I love that one. It was one of my favorites. But
anyways. Yeah, it was the Dynamite Dozen thing. Right.
And they were just sort of furthering and developing storylines.
Yeah, that one was, I think, one of my favorites.
But this was a fun opener for sure, and Inner Circle are probably the right choice because that's a very high-profile match.
Yeah, I think all the storylines within the Inner Circle that will be running along the way will be super interesting, and I think even from an in-ring standpoint, this could still be a really good match because I think even if Jericho and MJF weren't the best team, the Bucks are so good they can help them out anyway. So.
But Jericho and MJF also thrive in that role of giving the other guys a ton of offense and just sort of surviving through heel tactics
they're
and whatever.
They're the slimy heel team.
Right.
So I think this will work.
That dynamic will be fine for sure. Yep. Then we get to your favorite.
Yeah, I wrote Jade Cargill promo vignette and then quickly took the promo bit out of
workout montage.
Yeah, literally workout montage. That was it. So I have no comment on this because there's nothing to really comment about.
I thought at least it looked cool. And
I guess.
And it seems like we talk about this is a smart thing to do. You're highlighting her strengths, which is her physique for sure.
And not her promo work.
And you're downplaying her weaknesses, which is her promos and her wrestling, as far as we know. So this package makes sense, and she is an impressive-looking woman.
She's I know
in better shape than everybody.
That Cody and Red Velvet are facing her and Shaq, I think, in Dynamite in a couple weeks or something.
So, I mean, it was what it was. It was her looking huge and jacked, and she is.
Nothing, really. Darby Allin and Sting next, so from low point to low point. So Darby's going to defend the TNT title against Joey Janela next week. And my first question is he ranked number 5?
Yeah, it's like, again, do rankings and stuff matter? They try and tell us they do, but it seems like when they want it to, they do. And then when, I don't know. You can't tell me that, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name already, and you just said it. Janela. You can't tell me Janela's in line for a TNT title shot by anything he's done in the last 9 months, year. I don't know. Anyways, it's fine. Carry on.
I'm sorry. I'm checking their website right now, so now I'm curious.
What the rankings are?
Yeah, he's nowhere near that. Not at all. So.
Yep, I would assume.
I'm very confused. So Team Taz interrupts. Taz says they aren't allowed in as punishment for last week.
Right. Taz was angry, surprisingly enough.
I'm shocked. Taz says they'll be involved next week. Starks then insults Sting and wishes Darby luck next week because he'll definitely need it.
Right.
And Sting says he'll be there next week to make sure it's a fair one-on-one match. Whoopee, we're getting confirmed Sting next week.
And there was more jungle references. Remember, those were back. Like, Sting will get hurt in the jungle. Good next. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. And then Sting fires back at Starks. This was boring, and honestly, what was the freaking point? They've made me basically not want to see Darby Allin, because I know Sting's always around with him, so that just really sucks, because I don't really want to see Darby Allin anymore. That's just, I don't like that.
I thought Taz was good, as he pretty much always is here, and Starks and Sting were actually fine. I don't think they were bad.
It's hard to be really good in this storyline.
Darby stayed silent this time, which is the way I want him to go, as long as he's tangled up in this with Uncle Sting. I just would rather he stays quiet and let the other people talk.
I just don't want him to be in this.
Get through this. No, I agree.
He has nothing to benefit from this. Like, I don't know. I just don't want to see him because I know he's involved in this crap.
And I'm assuming it's going to be a Cine match if Sting's involved. I don't want to see a live Sting match in any way, shape, or form.
I want to see a live Shaq
Just
match.
For his own safety, I don't want to see a live Sting match. I want to make sure that they're...
And for my sanity.
Yeah, that too. I just want it to be safe and quick, and I don't know.
No, yeah, I after what happened in his last match, yeah,
Right.
I think for his safety as well, but also for my sanity.
Yeah, so I thought the segment was okay. It was fine for what it was.
Yeah, I guess. Britt Baker, DMD versus Thunder Rosa next, the anticipated match.
Mm-hmm.
We get a brief feud recap before the match. Rosa immediately attacks and disposes Reba out of the ring, which allows Baker to get her into a lockjaw while she attempts it.
Yeah, right away.
Rosa gets out and hits a drop kick. Baker gets a rope break on an arm hold. Corner chops by Rosa, arm hold by Baker. Rosa is able to fight out. Quarter shotgun drop kick followed by a cannonball for 2 by Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
And they know what a cannonball is, but they call it like a rolling whatever thing, and I was just like...
Flipping senton?
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what it's called.
I don't know. I called it a flipping senton too, so forgive me.
I'm surprised you didn't call it a cannonball because you're a big fan of Kevin Owens.
I am.
Baker tangles Rosa in ropes and then falls with the pump kick.
I thought that was cool. I like that.
They're fighting on the outside, and Baker's sent hard into the barricade. Wicked Stepsister by Baker on the stage. Candice LeRae's move thingy. And then Death Valley Driver on the stage by Rosa, which is kind of cool.
It was.
The Awesome Clothesline in the corner by Rosa. Not an Awesome Clothesline, but the Awesome Clothesline referring to
You make
to
that
the
clarification literally every time. You know that?
Must.
So then it's less efficient. Just describe it
Basement
instead.
shotgun drop kick in the corner by Rosa for 2. Roll up counter by Baker for 2. Sling blade and a thrust kick for 2.
I like
by
that
Baker.
combo as well.
Air raid crash by Baker for 2. Baker gets her glove for the lockjaw. Rose attempts to block, but then gets a rope break. Curb stomp by Baker. Crucifix pin for 2 and right into lockjaw. Rosa continues to try to counter and finally breaks it with a back suplex. Death Valley Driver for near fall by Rosa. Reba exposes the middle turnbuckle. A roll for 2 by Baker. Knee by Rosa. STO into the exposed turnbuckle by Baker. And lockjaw for the win by Britt Baker.
I was underwhelmed by probably the first third of this match. And then I thought it really picked up, and I actually quite liked it. Rosa seemed to want to pick up the pace, only to be sort of slowed down by high-impact moves from Baker. So I like that dynamic, right, where they're clearly... Rosa's trying to work fast, and Baker's like, no, I got to slow you down with a nice power move here and there. I have no issues with the finish, as Baker should cheat as much as she needs to. It keeps Rosa looking stronger than a clean loss. And honestly, these types of finishes don't happen a ton in AEW. So when they happen like this and they make sense, I don't mind it, right? Because you could say, well, you guys were just complaining about there's no clean wins. But this is different. She's a heel and she cheats. And the consensus seems to be that Rosa's like more talented and Baker's going to have to find these ways to do it.
Right.
So to me, it makes sense. And they don't do it in multiple matches every night. So I had no problem with it.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match, and the finish was interesting, and I assume it'll lead to a rematch, possibly at Revolution.
Right.
Baker will either win again, or Rosa will win and tie the series up, which could lead to a grudge match, and it could have some sort of stipulation like last woman standing or steel cage or something like that.
Yes.
But the feud's definitely continuing, which I am fine with, and a good match.
Yeah, it was.
Next, we get an interview with Matt Hardy and Hangman Page. It is from last week. Page says he's not going to sign a contract or be in a tag team. Matt says he didn't like Chaos Project ruining Brody's Jr.'s birthday last week, so now it would be 2 weeks ago. Hangman agrees to tag match versus Chaos Project, our favorite. So then we get Hangman and Page and Matt Hardy versus Chaos Project. Woo!
Yes, Chaos Project. More TV time for them. Great decision.
Give me more Chaos Project.
Tell me about how they did.
Hardy and Serpentico start the match. Corner offense by Matt Hardy and Hangman tags in. Back elbow by Hardy and a running shooting star press by Hangman for a 2 count. Corner clothesline and a snap suplex for 1 by Hangman. Hardy tags in and a top rope elbow by Matt Hardy. Luther tags in, side effect to Serpentico by Hardy, and then Serpentico tags back in. I missed something for sure.
Don't worry.
Corner offense by Chaos Project. Tag team move for 2 by Chaos Project that involves Luther using Serpentico as a weapon, like slamming him on.
Yes.
It's kind of like the Drake Maverick.
Yeah, a lot deal. Like that, actually.
Serpentico misses a Swanton bomb, and Hangman gets the tag. Follow-away slant to Serpentico and a slingshot plancha to Luther. Spinebuster to Serpentico for 2. Luther misses a cannonball and buckshot lariat, and Matt tags himself in for the pin. And Hardy and Hangman win.
Honestly,
match was pretty quick, so nothing.
It was, and that was part of I was pretty bored whenever Chaos Project were on offense, but it was less than 4 minutes.
It does further the storyline, so I'm just intrigued to see where that goes next.
So Hardy and Page looked good enough, but this match didn't feel necessary to me.
Yeah,
Matt
I think
and
you
Page,
could have chosen like TH2. Maybe.
They could have done something else entirely, or wrestled somebody else to further this story. There's people I think deserve TV time ahead.
Although I do like at least the aspect that Matt Hardy's pretending to be a good guy and like caring about Brody Jr.'s birthday.
He's doing the Carney thing. Right, whatever he needs to manipulate anyone, he'll do it.
Like I said, the storyline is interesting, so that's the only thing really saving this for me.
Okay, that's fair. What do we have next?
And then we got a package for the upcoming AEW Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament. Some competitors are announced. Some Japan and AEW stars are announced, including Shida, returning Riho, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, Ty Conti, Nyla Rose, and Aja Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And Shida is in this, which confuses me, because if it's the Eliminator Tournament, isn't for a shot at her title. So maybe they'll explain that later. Maybe it'll be like she can choose her opponent. Maybe it'll be like what the Bucks were doing in the Battle Royal.
I would think so.
But an interesting field. There were a couple Japanese people I didn't know, so I didn't write them down. But Aja Kong's interesting because she's a legend, I'm pretty sure. And she was in like one of the early AEW pay-per-views. Remember, like, they had the 6-woman tag of all like the Joshi competitors and whatnot? Yes. I think Riho was in that. And
she was.
Oh, and there's also Emi Sakura or whatever. Sakura, whatever.
Yep.
The person with the microphone.
Yep.
But she's also in. So, I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. I don't know. Yep. I love a tournament.
I do kind of like the integration of Japanese competitors. And maybe if they do another men's eliminator tournament, say for the TNT title, maybe they'll have like, I don't know, some people from New Japan.
Yeah.
Although maybe not right now because of the pandemic. But then I'm wondering if like Aja Kong lives in America then.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems like there's some kind of travel happening, unless these, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I like tournaments, so I'm interested in if there's wrestlers I've never seen or I'm not super familiar with, then I'm even happier.
Yeah, and also Serena Deeb, I just remembered, is in it.
Yeah, she is.
But I think
Anna Jay too.
I think so too, yeah. Bringing Japanese stars is smart. I think it'll help bolster the ranks of the tournament.
Agree.
Even if like they don't do anything after it, it would just be interesting to see some new people.
Absolutely.
So then a Jericho and MJF interview. Jericho says they'll be the next tag team champions. MJF calls the interviewer Marquez instead of Marvez because he's calling him a Mark. And they go to celebrate, and Jericho says like they're collateral damage or whatever, and Guevara's unhappy because he's like, we're always collateral damage. And then Wardlow closes the door on cameraman, implying something else is happening. Kind of like more arguing within the inner circle because it's always Jericho and MJF and whatnot.
Yeah, so yeah, they're furthering the conversation, and Wardlow sort of forces the cameraman out of the room, right? And they close the door. I'm fine with this because I think we're getting this Sammy face turn that I want, and I think could be really interesting, and he and MJF could have an amazing feud, I think. So again, I am okay with this storyline being sort of slightly furthered.
Think if they did have a feud, Guevara would be a great babyface by default because MJF is such a heel.
Oh, Sammy could be a huge babyface.
Yeah,
huge.
Even without MJF, I think there's potential, and MJF would just help that.
Yep,
I think.
Agree.
So the wedding. It's time for the wedding.
Sigh.
Kip Sabian interview. Vicky Guerrero says it's time. Yeah, he's got frosted hair and all that jazz.
Oh boy, does he.
James Mitchell is the officiant. So here's my prediction. I predict the Who Shot Chucky T storyline.
Imagine. I would have shut it off.
With Chuck actually shooting himself because he didn't want to serve Miro, and James Mitchell will laugh maniacally before the lights go, like on Impact. So yes, I am making a prediction of a stupid storyline just because James Mitchell's there.
Well, Chuck might do it just to escape this storyline too. He'd rather be dead than involved in this. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I just think of Johnny Bravo and then Chucky T. Boom.
So, yeah, it is the wedding time.
Yes. Kip and Miro come out. Penelope comes out with Jerry Lynn. Vows. They both say I do. When Mitchell's about to mention the objection thingy, Miro tells him to skip it.
So, I'm going to back you up a little bit because I want to praise your boy for a minute.
Yay!
So, I thought this was going a route at first that I was going to be okay with. Because I thought Sabian was doing a pretty good job of being a douchebag with his vows, right? And basically almost implying he's marrying Ford because she's beautiful, first of all. Then he, like, interrupts her vows and does them for her, right? So I was kind of hoping that, like, Sabian was going super heel here and that something interesting was gonna happen, and then it continued. And
Hell
I did
yeah,
not
Kip
get that.
Sabian's sick.
I thought he was doing a good job. I thought it was going like he was going super heel, and we were gonna start feeling bad for Ford, kind of like people used to feel bad for Miss Elizabeth, right? Like, we don't want you with this guy; he doesn't treat you right. But then they just kind of stopped, and it.
But Ford's also kind of a heel, though, so it's like.
Yeah, but she could be made sympathetic super fast, right? So, anyways, carry on.
And when Mitchell's about to do the objection thing, Miro says he's been there before and to skip it, which might be a shot at the Lana Lashley wedding and also his and Lana's wedding in 2016, which I think is interesting, I guess. But
it bugs me now. Like, we get it. You're bitter at WWE, and you're now been in AEW for how long, and you still have to take these little. You just come across as like a petty guy that's holding a grudge forever.
Almost
just
at
let
this
it
point, right?
Let it go, dude. Let it go.
Yeah, it was really stupid, and it was.
He
horrible,
just has to get those little shots in. We get it. You didn't like your time there. They misused you.
It was terrible, but
you're somewhere else now. Move on.
It's been like almost a year since the Lana Lashley wedding, I think.
And it's ha ha ha. I'm so clever in my inside references. Nah, you just look like a baby.
Yeah, and then Miro best man speech. Charles cuffs Miro's leg to the ropes, and then Cassie pops out the cake. Big surprise. Whenever they have one of those big cake stands.
Yeah.
Someone's always in it, so just don't have one of those, honestly.
My summary of that was speech, decoy, box destruction. Because there's the classic big box where it looks like someone's hiding in it. And
I knew either Cassidy he was either in the cake or the box. So, and he hits the beach break on poor Kip Sabian. Segment was not great. Hopefully the feud's almost over and they can all move on, especially Kip.
So this was long and lame and predictable. And I think they thought they were being clever because they're kind of acknowledging all of the wrestling tropes, right? Like wrestling wedding tropes, like the don't let someone object if they have an objection. If there's a large present, there's somebody hiding in it. Somebody's going to have to go into the cake, right? I think they thought they were being funny by acknowledging and then sidestepping some of these tropes. But it didn't come across as funny to me. It came across as more like sour grapes by Miro.
Say was the best thing in it. Say it.
So Miro's been gone from WWE for so many months now, and he still feels the need to make these references. I thought, and we don't say this often, this was a bad AEW segment for sure. I think, like, almost objectively, this wasn't good. But I had really low expectations, and I think this is just a rare misstep by this company. And I'm wondering, is it their fault, or I'm suspicious that when they signed Miro, they gave him a lot of control, right? Because AEW does anyways. They give wrestlers a lot of input.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I want to blame him more than anybody because I don't think the execs at AEW thought this was a good idea. Maybe they did, but it was bad, so we should move on.
I have a question. Who do you think did the best?
Kip Sabian.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was like, ooh, I like where this is going. Is it gonna? And then I was wondering, I don't know. Anyways, and then I thought Miro was just gonna turn and kill Sabian too, and I would have thought that was okay, but no.
I mean, to be fair, the bar's not that high, but hell yeah, Kip doing the best.
Yep, it's true.
Okay, next we got Shaq. He's talking to the basketball people on the basketball thing. And he's saying he'll wrestle Cody. This was bad, like the wedding, except it was shorter.
It's just low effort, right? Like, they took 90 seconds on the set of his show to make a little video with a couple of his buddies. Good for you.
Yo, I'm gonna wrestle
and he
Cody.
called Cody a cupcake, so awesome.
This was just...
Moving on.
Gross. And then we get Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. No DQ lumberjack match. Okay. So Archer attacks right away. Butcher and Blade attack Archer after he takes control. Archer attacks the lumberjacks. Billy Gunn sends Kingston back in the ring when he's sent out.
Cesar Bononi sighting.
Yeah.
I saw him in there.
I was just like, Cesar Bononi.
I think he gets a match next week, actually.
Huh, interesting.
I heard somewhere.
Cesar Bononi.
Right.
Lumberjack brawl, because you can't have a lumberjack match without them all fighting and then someone diving onto the pile, which would be Archer. Although it did look kind of impressive, actually. It was kind of cool. Kingston hits chop and throws Archer out post-commercial break, and heel lumberjacks attack, because that is another thing that always happens.
It has to.
Full Nelson slam by Archer, shoulder tackle and clothesline by Archer, suplex by Archer, splash by Archer for 2, the one that you don't like. Bunny tries to interfere. Archer's would hit blackout on her, which could have been interesting. Kingston hits a spinning back fist.
I liked that little spot there, yeah.
Yeah, just like...
Bunny's involvement and just slowing Archer down enough, holding him in place to take a back fist. I liked it.
Because he's open to it, right? Because he's like holding her above his head.
Exactly. Right? He's holding her about to, what is the move? The blackout? Is that what it's called?
Blackout,
yeah. So his arms are occupied holding her up, and he takes a back fist to the face, which I thought was cool.
Roberts takes out Angelico, which is okay. That was just random. Butcher cheap shot and exploder suplex by Kingston. Blade sets up a table in the corner that says no DQ. Bear Bronson spears Blade through the table. Other guy attacks Butcher, so these guys are on dark.
Yeah, I had random tag team take out Butcher and Blade.
Yeah.
Actually, they kind of looked impressive, so I'm curious of who they are.
Yeah. They said what they were called too, and I can't remember.
It's all right. We'll find
Ripcord Iranagi for 2 by Archer. Archer blocks spinning backfist and blackout for the win.
I thought this was fine, to use a term from our podcast. I preferred the previous match for sure. There was just too much going on around the ring at times in this that was a little distracting and I didn't love. I'm interested in this new tag team that took out Butcher and Blade, though. There's not a ton of room for new tag teams on this show, but these guys look kind of cool, so I'm intrigued a little bit. You?
Yeah, the match was fine, I agree. And had some good points. But I like Kingston feuding with Pac because I think that had more to it, right? Because like the whole faction thingy. This was at least short, but really wasn't super entertaining. I think both of these guys are capable of so much more, and they need to move on.
Yes.
And as we've already seen, and I think Archer is yet to have been given a meaningful feud where he looks like the monster that he is.
You're right.
His 2 main feuds, in my opinion, were Mox and Cody, which are both high-profile title match feuds, but they didn't last long, and he lost both times. I think both should move on, and I want Death Triangle to be top heels on an unrelated note.
And Archer being a babyface, I just find strange. It doesn't work for me.
It's almost like it's as weird as Pac.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with him exactly, but he definitely, for being brought in as a monster, he certainly hasn't dominated.
Yeah, this feud just doesn't work. They're both super talented, but they're both heels, and they're both meant to be heels, in my opinion.
Me too.
So it doesn't work. And the same thing with Pac and Kingston. Yes, Pac should be the bastard heel. He should be the top heel in the company, but at least like there's an interesting story and reason for him, like, because he's still a miserable bastard, but he's he's being miserable toward another miserable bastard.
God, I love him so much.
Right?
Pac
like,
is the best.
I just think at least that feud has more to it, even though it's heel on heel. This one just like, it's like, oh, this guy claimed you didn't win the match fair, and like,
it didn't work for me.
It's not
really
as good as Pac and Kingston.
They need to move on. I agree.
Yeah. So then we get an FTR promo. Cash says
Jurassic from a couch somewhere was my note.
It looks like it's in like a quote-unquote bus, like Omega and Callis.
Maybe. I didn't notice that.
I don't know. That's just the impression I got from it. Cash says Jurassic Express better not have run to Tony Khan for protection. Call him like the principal.
Yeah.
Tully says he was banned from the title match and then handcuffed, and then they were banned from the Battle Royal. So that's like they're up against adversity or something.
Yeah, where does it end? Or are we not even going to invite it?
Dax says Zach says they're not bad men, but sometimes they have to be, I think it was. And then they reveal Marco Stunt being held hostage.
Yes. So I kind of like this message that FTR is saying, and again, it's heel logic, so maybe they're not right, but in their own minds, right? They're feeling constantly overlooked and wronged. So basically they're saying, if you're going to treat us like we're bad men, we may as well start behaving badly.
Why prove you wrong?
Right, because we can't. It seems like you have us pegged as this, so we may as well start behaving the way you think we are anyways, and so they're taking hostages and whatnot.
Right.
I would have I like this, but I would have rather, again, as I always say, I would rather Dax deliver it than Tully, but I still thought it was good.
Yep. Let me a quick Joey Janela promo to give us somewhat of a build to his random title match.
Yeah.
Talks about his history at Darby Allin and then claims he'll be the next champion. Nope, you're not ranked number 5, buddy. You have no chance.
My only note was he's back and he'll be a bad boy when he's champion, and then I have records and rankings matter, right? Question mark.
Well, he said he'll be a bad boy when he's champion, right? So I guess he's going to be a good boy for a while.
Honestly, we're sort of mocking it a little bit, but it could be a crazy match because both of these guys
No,
have
it could be
zero
good,
fear,
but it's just really what's the point?
It could be just an absolute
No, it's not
going
to
to
be a bad match. I think it'll be good, but I still remember. I feel like remember when Darby Allin took that Cracker Barrel spot?
Yes.
I feel like Joey Janela was involved in that somehow.
I think he was too.
Anyway, so that match is next week
as well. It feels thrown together, but the match could be good. It's just we like a story to go with it, and that part's kind of lacking, I think.
Another weird match next week: Chris Jericho and MJF versus the Acclaimed. Not saying this will be bad, just weird because it is heel on heel.
Oh, right? I really hope that Caster writes a diss track for MJF. That would be amazing. Anyways, they each need to do more music videos with them if they can, because that was one of the highlights of my 2020.
And so this match was advertised as a Dynamite match, but I can't tell if it's Dynamite or Dark. Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson versus Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi.
That's on. I'm pretty sure that's on Dynamite.
Yeah, I don't know how it's not on Dark, but.
And I get it. Dynamite's trying. They're trying to be the company that they give everybody a bit of shine, right? And
but like you gotta know when to not do that sometimes.
Or don't have so many superstars on your roster. Then, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but you could cut some people if like they just have so many.
Don't do like
people.
an extreme firing like WWE does, but like, no offense to him, but do you need Cesar Bononi? Do you need Lee Johnson? Like,
we'll see. Maybe Cesar Bononi's gonna blow us away next week.
Yeah,
hopefully. I hope so.
Yeah, I guess.
Is it main event time?
Yes, it is. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers with Mox, Pac, and Phoenix. I know he's in a visa situation, but I'm gonna say it again. I just wish Penta was involved in this.
Yes. Every week you tell us you miss Penta. It would have been
so great. You know what I would have loved is if they replaced Gallows with the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
And then you add Penta to this. You get Omega, Carl Anderson, and the Young Bucks versus Mox, Pac, Mox, and Death Triangle. That's like my dream version of this.
Listen, man, you better stop complaining about a match that has Omega, Pac, Phoenix, and Moxley in it.
You're
going to get kicked off the podcast.
Okay, that is a fair point.
And really, Carl Anderson, too, I'm a big fan of. So it's just lumbering oaf that's with him.
I'm just complaining that... just complaining that there's no Penta.
Fair enough.
I'm complaining for a lack of person, not for... They did do a good job other than Gallows of putting people in this match.
Gotcha.
So Callis is on commentary because why not? He's good on the mic and
but it's completely cut for us.
What do you mean?
So he starts to cut the promo in the ring, and then it cuts to commercial and not picture in picture. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen," and then he's gone. And when we come back from commercial, he's sitting at the announce table. So whatever he said in the ring, we don't even know what it was, because in Canada,
if he even said anything,
at least in Canada, we didn't get it.
Like, we don't even know if he said anything.
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't just say "ladies and gentlemen" and then walk away. Maybe, but it's Callis. He likes the sound of his own voice. I assume he probably talked for close to that full 3 minutes, but we saw nothing.
No, imagine he's just like, "Ladies and gentlemen, peace out."
And he just stands there because it's commercial.
Yeah.
Twirling the mic. But anyways, we don't know what he said. I'm sure it was great.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure you were happy about this, but the Bullet Club trio got a new theme, so you didn't have to hear the Gallows and Anderson theme.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
They should use this in Impact, because it was like kind of generic, but like it was like it's one of those good generic things, you know?
Sure.
Like it didn't make you wanna cut off your ears, you know.
Their theme in Impact makes me groan out loud, I think, every time it comes on. I can't stop myself. Anyways, tell me about this match.
And it's awful, but it makes me laugh every time because I know you die every time you hear it. So
my soul just gets crushed a little further.
No offense, but I find that amusing.
You take joy in the suffering of your father. I get it. That's fine. Start talking about this match. Let's go.
So Pac versus Carl Anderson and again, like, Pac's just like, he's got genuine beef with Kenny Omega, so I'm fine with the heel versus heel.
They started out fast, these guys, I
thought. Holds and counters and a Hurricane by Pac and Gallows tags, and I was just
and then it slows down.
Yeah. I thought he was going to mock Pac, but Mox wants to tag, so he tags in forearms by Mox, and big surprise, a punch by Gallows.
Whoa.
I was like, what did he do? And you're like, punch. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes Jack will be typing and looking down, and then I'll sort of fill him in if he missed a move or something. Like, what did Gallows do? And the answer is always punch or kick. That's basically the answer.
Or like the Punjabi plunge.
Maybe Irish whip somebody if he's feeling well rested, you know?
or
Sorry, Gallows.
Or if he's feeling well rested,
You used to be awesome, dude. You used to be a really, really good big man, but A, you're older. B, I don't think you care, to be honest. Anyways.
Or maybe that if he's really feeling up to it, he'll jump off the apron after.
Gently slide down the apron after being... Yeah. Anyways, go on.
This is the Gallows and Shotzi Blackheart attack podcast. Oh yeah, I found out that Shotzi Blackheart has an upcoming figure, so woohoo! Sunset Flip by Mox fails, because that happens all the time. I think Gallows tried to sit down on him, but missed, so he flopped down on his butt, Dad, so that's pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's
work rate.
Good job, Gallows.
Yep.
Chest kicks and then a running knee by Mox, which looked kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anderson tags in, thank God. Phoenix also tags in. That is great. And slaps Anderson. Standing moonsaults by Phoenix and Pac for 2. After Pac tags in. Omega grabs Pac's leg, and Gallows pulls Pac off of the top rope, because he was going for a top rope thingy. Omega tags in, Gallows tags in. Corner shots by the Bullet Club. Anderson tags in. Omega tags in. Strikes, but Pac counters a suplex. Snap German suplex by Pac. Mox and Anderson both tag in. Release X-Plex by Mox. I wrote release X-Plex because, like, yeah, the X-Plex is a release, but, like, I don't know how to put this, but, like, Mox just, like, he did the X-Plex, but he was still standing, you know? Like,
yeah.
I meant releases, and he literally, like, let him go instead of, like, kind of coming down with them for more force.
Yep.
So.
I know what you mean.
Like, release.
And I love an X-Plex either way, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember him doing this to AJ Styles.
I just can't. My thing was when I saw Pete Dunne do it the first time, I was just like, how the heck have I not seen anybody? Like, I feel like I hadn't seen anyone do it.
Right,
in 30
it's not even that complicated, right?
It's just a suplex and you let go, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, you got just kind of like flip him and say, no, it is.
I didn't understand how, and I'm sure someone's gonna say, yeah, it's been done by this guy and this guy. I'd never seen it, so anyways, it surprised me, but it's cool.
I remember him doing it to AJ Styles on a bunch of chairs on TLC, and I think that's like what cut. Remember, like, he had the butt cheek hole
yes
on his tights.
Yep.
So Suicide Dive to the Good Brothers by Mox. Omega attacks Mox. Flatliner by Anderson back in the ring. Gallows is legal post-commercial break. Whoop whoop. Mox counters a powerbomb into a figure 4, but Anderson breaks it pretty quickly. And then he tags in. Mox counters the Magic Killer, low bridges Gallows out of the ring, and sends Anderson into the corner. Omega tags in. Phoenix gets the hot tag. Flurry to the heels by Phoenix. Super kick to Omega. Top rope shotgun dropkick by Pac. Moonsaults to the outside by the Death Triangle members to the Good Brothers. A backflip off the top rope into a cutter by Phoenix.
Yeah, business picked up here.
So unnecessary, but just it makes it look cool. So
it does.
I'm not complaining.
Yep.
Chop by Omega and Phoenix, and then one by Phoenix. I would have said chop exchange, but it's literally just those two chops. Escalera thingy is countered by Omega. A draping Snapdragon suplex by Omega, which is interesting.
Yeah, I liked it.
And then your boy Gallows tags in.
Boy.
Pac gets a blind tag. A strike combo by Pac, which I know you were loving.
I do.
The basement single leg dropkick by Pac, trademark move there. Omega tags in. Corner flurry and triple team neckbreaker by Bullet Club, but Mox breaks the pin. A gut wrench powerbomb by Omega for 2. V-trigger, Pac gets out of the one-winged angel. Corner springboard heel kick by Phoenix. That just never fails to amaze me.
Always looks awesome.
Corner clothesline by Mox. Pump kick by Phoenix. German suplex by Mox. And a deadlift German suplex by Pac for a near fall. Great sequence by that
so
squad
much going
there.
on.
Yep. Mox and Omega are now legal. I don't blame anyone for not being able to keep up right now. Strike exchange, a V-trigger. A clothesline by Mox, big, beefy clothesline. Boot by Gallows, missile dropkick by Phoenix. The rope rebound hook kick by Phoenix. Again, just
awesome.
That will never not look good. Mid-rope tope con hilo to Anderson by Phoenix. That just he goes in with such force, and it also just looks amazing as well.
Yep.
Omega hits a paradigm shift on Mox, which is interesting. But Pac breaks the pin with a 450 splash because he can't do anything that's not amazing.
God, he's the best, honestly.
Gun stun's blocked, and Mox hits a gun stun, aka a cutter of his own. A moonsault by Phoenix for 2 as he tags in. Spine buster by Anderson.
Big one.
Yep. Gallows tags in, and the Magic Killer for the win. V-trigger to Pac as the pins counted. Bullet Club get the win. They post-match attack. Archer attacks and clears out the heels, and Mox Omega remain in the ring. And Kenta attacks Mox.
Yeah.
Nails him with the GTS. And for those of you who don't know, they are feuding with each other in New Japan because Mox still has the U.S. title.
He does.
And I think New Japan maybe wanted to work with AEW because, like, think about it. They could have stripped Mox of the title again if they really wanted to, right? So,
yes.
Like, I think them not stripping him was, I think they wanted to.
Maybe it's been in the works for a long time.
I think on, like, the Impact thing, I think both companies could gain something from this partnership.
There's more equal footing here, right?
Right.
Where both of these companies are similar in profile, probably.
And similar in, like, roster, just like they both have great rosters.
Yep.
Anyways, I thought the main event was really good. Gallows and 2 involved again, and the match was great. The action was fast and furious, as they say, and this is a TV special worthy main event anytime.
I thought it another really fun main event. Similar comment here.
I feel like they failed. They never really failed to give you a good main event.
I feel
other than Luther.
Openers and main events, you're pretty solid, right? Like they're always going to be enjoyable.
I mean, there's always like one blip on the record or whatever, but that happens.
Gallows, I thought, let the others do the heavy lifting as well. Everybody kind of had their chance to shine. I'm pumped to see Kenta, just to see him in North America being treated the way he should be and not sort of like WWE did. He is actually awesome, and he'll be allowed to shine in AEW more than he did in WWE. And we clearly have another company involved with Dynamite, and it's a fun time to be a wrestling fan, I think.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I know it'll never happen. There's literally zero chance. But if WWE were to get involved and not use their booking methods, like if like they were Lone Stars to AEW, that would just be insane. You know, I know, like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would say, hypothetically, that would just be like, but you got like 2 or 3 if Impact's involved of the top wrestling promotions in the world, like, you know, interacting. Like, it's just, it can't go wrong, in my opinion.
And I was listening to something yesterday. I wish I could give them credit, but I forget. And they were saying they're getting tired of hearing on message boards and wherever and things that I don't visit, but other people do, that everyone's like, oh, wrestling sucks right now. Wrestling sucks. No, that's not what you mean.
Literally the opposite. No, WWE sucks.
That is exactly it. What you mean is WWE sucks. And
yeah,
that's
a lot
as
of
far
people
as you're
who
looking.
aren't into wrestling or like aren't like nerds like us are assume like wrestling is WWE, right? Like or WWE is wrestling.
And yes, it sucks pretty hard right now. Even NXT isn't what it used to be. We've talked about, but there's so much elsewhere that's so good.
But WWE is just the main guy, and even then, they're starting to be usurped in that role by AEW. It's just like wrestling, even in this crappy era of wrestling's still thriving as a worldwide phenomenon, and I
if
think
you're sitting there just watching main roster WWE every week and then complaining about wrestling, that's on you. It's not hard to find good wrestling. Like, you can get the Fight app for free and find random stuff that's more entertaining than
even
WWE main roster.
I think even Champs of Wrestling from Hollywood would be.
It's cheesy, but it's fun. I don't know. I like it.
I think that'd be better than watching Raw. It's not as long. It's not as awful.
It's an hour.
Or like NWA. It's just so much stuff.
Overall, I thought the wedding segment hurt the show a fair amount, in my opinion, because it was pretty long and really weak. The opener was good. The women's match was good. The main event was really good. The Darby Sting segment didn't bother me as much as it has in the past. FTR had a decent segment. The Kenta appearance added something for me personally. The other matches were okay, so I'm going to give this show a B. Good, not great. Close to a... I'm not going to give it a B+. It's close. Recapping it, sometimes I go, maybe I was a little harsh in my initial reactions, but I'm going to stick with it and say a B. What about you?
I promise we did not rehearse this, folks.
We don't.
The show overall is pretty good, but should have been better for a TV special. But
that is part of it. I didn't mention that. Yeah. I agree completely.
But
this was a special
I think this is one of those things, like, it's one of their TV specials. It was good, but should have been better. Sting, Shaq, and Jade Cargill was crap, but that's nothing out of the ordinary.
What about the wedding, bro?
I'm just kind of mad. I don't really want to see Darby anymore, because he's awesome, just not in this. The wedding segment did not have a great storyline heading into it, but in the back of my mind, I thought there's a slight chance it could be turned around.
I was hopeful.
I think you did too after seeing Kip Sabian, my boy. But the wedding vows and whatnot were par for the course. I think the vows were actually decent, but nothing too crappy or interesting. And then Chuck and Cassidy attack was predictable, and I wasn't really anything interesting. I think
just a big miss of a segment, which is rare for this company.
Which I think it drags down. If you copy and pasted that segment into WWE, I'd be like, this is your average thing. But I think because they have such a good reputation, this
sticks out like a sore thumb, as they say.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I always like a good battle royal, and so the opener was pretty enjoyable for me. Even if it wasn't as good as other ones, I still like battle royals.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Jericho and MJF winning could end up providing a good match with the Young Bucks, like I said earlier, and it'll for sure create interesting storylines and segments within the Inner Circle. Hangman and Matt Hardy for his Chaos Project was a little better than expected because it was pretty short, and Luther didn't
4 minutes, yeah.
Luther didn't do anything terrible.
No.
And the story, like the Inner Circle, will be interesting. The Lumberjack match could have been better, and I think was a bit of a waste of time, similar to the wedding segment. This Kingston and Archer feud has run its course, and I think it's time for it to end. Baker and Rosa had a pretty good match, and the finish leaves the feud open for a continuation, which is fine with me. The main event, per usual, was my highlight. The match was fast-paced and entertaining, which is something I felt the Lumberjack match lacked completely. The aftermath seemed run-of-the-mill at first, but the prospect of Kenta and AEW is very intriguing. I'd love to see AEW and New Japan mix it up because they're two of pro wrestling's top promotions, and they both have stacked rosters. Even Impact being included would have some benefits, like Chris Bay and Ace Austin, among others.
For sure.
Pretty decent show overall, but we need better from TV special. Solid B show, but almost a B+.
Yeah.
I literally didn't...
We share a brain.
Yeah.
Nice.
But pretty good show overall. Nothing too horrible to complain about.
I agree. All right, so that's
good stuff.
Good. That wraps up the AEW Dynamite portion, and we will now shift gears into our trivia segment, which is Off the Top of His Head.
Where we shave hair off the top of my head. Nope.
So this week's going to be different. It's kind of random, and I think it'll work. It might be good. We'll see. It will not focus on one topic this week, as it usually does, and here's why. Jack's aunt, my sister-in-law,
shout out
to Momo.
Woo!
Do we have to explain the story of Momo? Why we call it Momo?
I don't care if you want.
Okay, so she is known as Momo in this household. So my wife is Korean, and in Korean culture, your mother's sister, and I think the age of the sister depends too, I'm not sure, anyways, is supposed to be called emo, is what it's called. Well, when
emo, well, that's a completely different terminology in
North America. Yeah, so when Jack was a baby / toddler, obviously, and he couldn't say emo, he called her Momo, and it just stuck. So anyways, Momo, somewhere, whether it was a garage sale or a store, I don't know, but she found this WWF trivia.
It literally has the WWF as your logo, so
because
it's
1999.
Old. Yeah.
It's from 1999. I looked. So it's a trivia-based board game. So what I did one night, just as I was bored, was just started leafing through the cards and pulling out some questions that I think
because some of them might be dated, right?
Some are impossible.
Right, how many times has Triple H held the Intercontinental title? That would be outdated by default. But
so I avoided all of those for sure.
Right, but
the last question I have is one of the ones. It's an example of one of the ones I think is impossible. So you won't get the last one. I shouldn't say that. Who knows with you? But I'm pretty sure you won't get the last one. So some of these questions will have multiple choice options.
Yeah, I was reading some of them too. So yeah.
So I'll let you know if it has options, and you can tell me if you want them or not. Right? I won't give them to you automatically.
Yeah, kind of like the one thing that we did.
Right. So first question, I think I have 15 or 16 is usually my goal. Terry Funk has also wrestled under which alias during his time in WWF?
Chainsaw Charlie.
That is correct.
Didn't he wear what was it, pantyhose on his face?
Yeah, on his face. That's right. Second one. What type of match did Bret Hart win at WrestleMania 11?
Ooh.
Yeah, these.
Is there options?
Nope.
Oh.
No options. Sorry.
I don't know.
I Quit match.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, against Bob Backlund.
There you go.
Now I remember. Damn it.
Name the two Hebner brothers.
Dave and Earl.
Nice. Who was the WWF president in kayfabe in the 1980s? And I do have options.
Jack Tunney?
Yes, I was going to say I do have options if you want them. Jack Tunney.
What would the other options have been?
They went with Gorilla Monsoon.
He was at one point, but I think it was after.
And Roddy Piper.
He was acting president at one point, so they're both viable options, actually.
I figured you might know, because I thought the Piper one was weird, but I was going to let you tell me if he had.
No,
I knew
he was acting president. I think Monsoon got attacked by, I think it was Vader or something.
So this one I wouldn't have needed. I would have gotten immediately. There are options. Which WWF superstar was sometimes known as Nugget? I knew this one. I'm smarter than you. Yes, dang it. It was Owen Hart.
I just thought, I don't know. I don't know why.
And I can't remember. Someone in a
I don't know
promo
why
called him that, and it sort of stuck.
I don't know why I know that either. Or, why I guessed that.
You don't get options on this one, and I can't imagine you'll know it. What team did Demolition face at WrestleMania 4?
Colossal Connection?
Nope. Take another guess if you want.
Japanese guys.
Nope.
Tenryu and whatever?
Nope. Strike Force.
Ah.
Good try. There are options for this one. At SummerSlam 1997, which superstar won the Federation title? That's the phrasing they chose. Was the
Bret Hart.
Correct.
Because Michaels was referee, and Bret Hart was facing Undertaker. Oh, so it led up to Montreal Screwjob.
Nice, buddy. All right, so here's, I think we're in a little Andre the Giant flurry here. 3 of them in a row.
Okay.
How tall was Andre the Giant?
8 feet?
Nope.
7.5 feet?
Yeah, 7'5", so not quite 7.5 feet.
I don't know what it is.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah, it's out of 11, right?
Andre the Giant had what nickname?
8th Wonder of the World.
Correct. Who did Andre the Giant wrestle at WrestleMania 1?
Big John Studd, $15,000 body slam challenge. We got the WrestleMania 1 poster right there.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the poster right now.
I can't see it, but I just knew that. I played the showcase in 2K14, and that's just classic.
Good. This one you'll know, even though they gave options. I think you'll know. Who was the King of the Ring in 1997?
Triple H.
Correct.
He was supposed to be in 1996, but the curtain call put a pin in that, and it was Steve Austin instead.
Nice. Who did Randy Savage defeat at WrestleMania 2?
Ooh. George Animal Steel?
Correct. Very good.
I just know because he was in Ricky Steamboat's corner in WrestleMania 3, and I know he fought Savage, so I just kind of assumed.
Very good. Here's an interesting one.
Because that's when he was Intercontinental Champion, I'm pretty sure.
I was surprised this was on the cards, considering all the other ones. 2/3 of Mick Foley's ear was ripped off in a 1994 match in Germany against who?
Big Van Vader?
Yes. Why would you know that?
Because I know they were feuding, and he had there's an angle where he had amnesia.
Oh yeah, because it's totally normal that you knew that Vader and Mick Foley were in a feud in 1994.
Yeah,
26 years before your
I have that top.
existence.
You know that book of top 10s I have?
Yeah.
One of them was Mick Foley, and he got amnesia in their feud.
That's great that you have a book. Not all of us remember everything we read in books, you know. So good job. Your memory's crazy.
Thanks.
All right. Who did Shawn Michaels face at WrestleMania 10?
Razor Ramon.
And
ladder
it was
match.
what? Yes. So still considered by some to be the ladder match, right?
Yeah. There was actually one, I think, on an episode of Superstars, and I think 92 against Bret Hart. I think that was actually the first one.
Didn't they play it at a house show while we were waiting for things to start or something?
I think so.
I remember that.
And it was to determine the undisputed Intercontinental Champion.
Right. 2 more, and the last one you're not getting, so this might be your last chance to get one right. And you will. Which superstar is known as the Model?
Rick Martel.
Correct. So you've crushed this, pretty much, I would say. Here's the last one. Ready? So this is the example. Some of these questions, I'm like, who's going to know this? What are Shawn Michaels' 2 hidden talents? Good luck.
Bowling.
Nope.
Amateur wrestling.
No. Ready?
Tap dancing.
Dancing. Ding, I'll give it to you.
Yes.
Dancing is 1.
Baseball.
Nope. It's like a generic household thing that he's good at.
Ironing underpants.
Nope. Cooking. And that's one of the ones that they don't give you any multiple choice options.
Right, and unless you're a Shawn Michaels fanatic.
Right, or in 1999 when this came out, had they just featured him and shown us that he was a dancer and a cook?
I would hope so,
because otherwise it seemed completely random to me. Right?
Okay, that's weird.
But anyways, what did you think of that version?
I like that.
It's kind of fun, right? And I have obviously a stockpile of these cards, so
yeah. And I got to surprise you again.
Good, so I might go with some more random because it's getting harder and harder to come up with
brain.
to do this. So these are a quick thing for me to.
Or if you want like current, you should just like search up like retro trivia or whatever.
I don't know. I like having the physical cards. I'm old. I like getting off computer screens for a while sometimes, you know?
True.
Being working from home, it's a lot of time in front of this screen. But anyways, you did very well on that. I thought I was impressed.
Yeah.
All right, so that will bring us into our next segment, which is where we go back to the Wednesday Night Wars, and this time we're going to take an in-depth look at this week's NXT. Yes, I'm going to ramble for a couple seconds. Okay, I don't need that though, because I have to still listen to it later. Starting. So the show starts with a video reminding us about last week's show and promoting what's coming up this week, including the exciting Edge appearing on NXT for the first time. Yay.
Apparently he was a non-draw, so that's funny.
Yeah, you told me that. I didn't see that, but that's interesting. Well, I mean...
literally the opposite of what Charlotte...
maybe a lot of the hardcore NXT viewers, that's not what they're looking for, right? I don't know.
I can't imagine why anyone would want to see him on NXT. Because if there's anyone who's an Edge fan, they probably want to see him on like the main shows.
Yeah,
right?
you would think. So this show started with what I thought was a pretty hot opener. We get Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So we starts out with
semifinals. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's okay. Semifinals of the Women's Dusty Cup. We get a very brief inset promo as it starts with Catanzaro and Carter giving just a decent but very generic babyface promo, right? I
didn't love it. It's just so generic. It's like everybody thought we weren't going to win. Nobody ever said you weren't going to win. They've done that to themselves.
I kind of think they're not going to win, but...
no, I mean like that they weren't going to win last week.
Oh, right. Right.
I mean like it was possible. It's not like, oh, they're not going to win at all. It's like, yes, you're smaller and you're the underdogs, but it's like not everybody's against you, right?
I just think they're kind of inexperienced, so they're starting them off with very basic stuff. I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
they delivered
I thought it was generic and not.
It was for sure generic. So we get holds and counters by Kai and Catanzaro to start. Carter tags in, and the babyfaces take control with some double team moves. We get a backbreaker by Kai that finally breaks the momentum, and she tags Gonzalez in. Carter escapes Gonzalez, and for a brief moment here, all four women are in the ring. Gonzalez chases Carter around the ring, and as she goes to slide to get back in the ring, she gets caught with a low drop kick from Carter. Gonzalez catches a Catanzaro crossbody and throws her back in the ring before tagging Dakota Kai and hitting the assisted stomp, where Kai sort of uses Gonzalez's impressive reach to hold her hand and elevate herself for the stomp to the midsection. It's kind of an interesting little spot.
I don't remember that.
No, I think it's like the second time they've done it now. We get kicks escalating to an axe kick by Dakota Kai for a 2 count. Carter's knocked off the apron, and then we get a botched, silly stringish move is all I put here. I don't know if you remember it exactly, but they were going for something similar to a silly string, and the finishing part of it, whatever the move was, I think Carter hit it, looked really bad anyways, but they moved on quickly.
Oh, I remember something, I think, that was not good.
It was not great. Carter lands some quick strikes on Gonzalez, and both heels end up in the corner, and Carter hits a very cool drop kick to one and splash to the other. So I believe it was Gonzalez was standing upright, leaning against the turnbuckles.
She was like caught in the ropes.
And Kai was lying on the ground right in front of her, right? So it was Carter hitting a running drop kick to Gonzalez and then hitting a splash at the exact same time
it's a senton.
To Kai. Was it?
Yeah, because like she lands on her back.
Did she?
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have to review that.
Oh, wait, no.
I think I'm right.
I think you're right.
Yeah, say that again. Sorry, I don't hear that often. Carter stays in control of both until Gonzalez knocks her off the apron and into the announce table as we head to commercials. Back from the break, and Gonzalez is in control of Carter, who escapes a gory stretch and makes a tag after Kai tags in as well. Catanzaro's on fire here and takes out Kai in the ring, and then climbs the scaffold outside the ring as she pretty much has to do, right? And jumps onto both opponents. That'd be my one kind of criticism of Catanzaro, is that because so much of her offense is high risk, she has to find things to climb all the time. Like, she's constantly up that scaffolding every match, basically. Kai gets rolled back. It was
pretty high, though.
It was. Kai gets rolled back in the ring for a 2 count. We get the scorpion kick by Kai, and she tags out to Gonzalez. Fireman's carry kick tandem move by Gonzalez and Kai. That's all.
Yeah, it's like a fireman's carry into like kind of the detonation kick.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. Gonzalez gets low bridged, and she ends up hung up in the ropes. We get a modified pile driver, ? The thing that Carter hit her with, and a basement Rana to Gonzalez by the baby faces. Catanzaro hits her crazy top rope finisher, and it's kind of like her butt
she hit it
landed on
better.
Gonzalez's neck almost. It still looks insane. I think Dakota Kai was supposed to break up the pin, but she's late getting there, so Gonzalez had to kick out, and I don't think they probably wanted anyone kicking out of this.
It's kind of like Starship Pain, where it's a crazy flippy doodad, but
from
can't
up
really
way higher, and it looks like there's way more impact on the end of it.
Really? Because she doesn't really hit it.
But she actually stands on the ropes and jumps up.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas,
but like,
what's his face just
he at least
bounces
lands
and
on
flips.
the person.
He does. Carter gets run into the
cool.
Carter gets run into the steps by Dakota Kai, and as Catanzaro gets caught in a one-arm power bomb, and Gonzalez and Kai move on to the finals. Thoughts, my son?
This is a fine match. A decent choice for an opener because it's going to be fast-paced with Kai and the other people who are flippy and do stuff.
Yep.
But I think the outcome was never in doubt.
Of course.
Think everyone was betting against him this time. So
yes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this match, and I have to say, the team of Carter and Catanzaro is winning me over. I'm sort of thinking that they're basically a high-flying tag team in the women's division, and I think that's a pretty unique and cool idea, right? Because there aren't really such a thing. So, of course, they still need some work, but so do Top Flight and Private Party, and they're basically the same idea, right? They're underdog, high-flying offense that rarely beat anyone. And that's basically this tag team. So I'm kind of open to it because they're basically like a straight high-flying tag team in the women's division, and I think that's a really cool concept. And by the way, Kai and Gonzalez are awesome, and we love them, so this was the right result, and I thought this was a great start to the show. Yes, Catanzaro and Carter are going to be a little bit sloppy, and they're probably going to botch some of these high-risk moves, but the fact is that they're offering me something different from every other women's tag team, so I'm a little bit here for it. We're going to see. Then we get a shot of the announcers talking about how Wade Barrett is now an American citizen, and he said he's been in America for 13 years, and they present Vic, Joseph, and Beth Phoenix present him with a framed photo of Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Apple Pie. I guess 2 very American things, I suppose.
Sure.
My Michigan friends can tell me. Actually, I know American as apple pie is a saying, and Jim Duggan was a patriot, I guess.
He's Jim Duggan.
We then get Toni Storm, and all I put here is that she takes a bit too long to say that no one will stop her from winning the NXT Women's Championship. She's not great on the mic. This was fairly brief, so it was okay, but I'm sure you didn't like it.
She's never great on the mic.
We're briefly shown Regal backstage interacting with Edge, and then it's off to Austin Theory versus Leon Ruff.
Woo!
So this match starts with Theory attempting power moves and Ruff landing on his feet, which I thought was actually pretty cool, right? Like, I forget, it was a suplex and maybe I think a fall-away slam, and Ruff lands on his feet, which I thought was cool. Ruff then takes control briefly, but not for long, as Theory eventually hits a back suplex. We get a hard Irish whip to the corner and a snap suplex by Theory for 2. Ruff fights up from his knees, only to get leveled by a Theory back elbow at this point. And then there's a counter into a roll-up for 2 by Ruff. Kicks and running forearms by Ruff, leading to a Shining Wizard. Gargano tries to interfere here, but he takes a kick, and then a missile dropkick lands to Theory. Gargano attempts to interfere again, and Ruff and Theory collide, and they're both down for a second. Then we get the Women of the Way. They show up, and they're trying to help out, obviously, but they're immediately followed and attacked by Indy Hartwell and Shotzi Blackheart, who...
You mean, Ember Moon?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry, Hartwell's part of the way. Sorry, that's just... Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Sorry, Shotzi and Ember, who drag the heels back up the ramp and away from interfering in the match. Ruff then Eddie Guerrero's Johnny at the outside, right? So the ref turns and Ruff makes it look like he had been attacked by Johnny, so Johnny gets sent to the back as well. We're back in the ring now.
Wouldn't the ref probably disqualify him? Like if he had hit him?
Referee's discretion, Jackson. That's what they always say in AEW. They can decide if they want to.
I guess.
Back in the ring, and Ruff hits a nice twisting cutter off the ropes for 2. I thought it looked cool. Crossbody is caught by Theory, and Ruff gets dropped on the barricade. Back in the ring now, and it's the ATL to Ruff, and Theory is victorious.
And then another ATL after the match.
Yeah, he continues the beatdown. Another ATL grabs the ring bell from ringside, but Dexter Lumis pops up, and he's there, and he throws Theory down and keeps a lock of Theory's hair, I guess, that he pulled out.
Ooh, mysterious. More like Psycho.
And Theory obviously retreats in disgust. Yeah. Thoughts on the match, sir?
Match is fine. Leon Ruff is still... I don't love him, so I don't really care, but it wasn't terrible. I don't... Like, the Eddie Guerrero thing was... I don't know. Whatever. But Lumis just seems more like a weirdo creep than mysterious kind of babyface or whatever. What, I don't know what they're going for with him, but
yeah, because he was
fine.
like a stalker type of thing, right? At some point,
right.
and it seems
I don't
like
get
it's
how he's a babyface.
not much different than that, really.
Right. I don't get how he's a babyface at all.
I think that's fair. I thought it was a pretty good match, and I think this is the role for Ruff, in my opinion. He's that scrappy underdog that's probably not going to win. The stuff on the outside I thought was a little bit cheesy with everybody involved, but it was quick and it allowed Theory to win fairly clean, right? Which I think he should. He's a really good heel and he's very young, so there's probably big things for him. Although he, again, if he gets much more of a role going, I feel like he's going to be a main roster guy pretty quickly because they're gonna Vince is gonna love that. He basically looks like John Cena, right? He's just a young John Cena. All right, so then we get a Legado package, and they say they are always in control and put people down when they need to, and they will continue to do that tonight. Mendoza and Wild will bury Lucha House Party, and Escobar will destroy Kurt Stallion. This is their empire, and it's only gonna keep growing.
Holy,
thoughts?
We got a babyface generic promo, then we get a heel generic promo. Like, I just don't really care about them anymore. This is fine, but like...
Yeah, I thought the promo was cool, but there's a disconnect between what they're saying and what we've seen, right?
Kind of like Bray Wyatt back in the day.
Yeah, we never get anything specific with these guys. There's still been no character development. They just find ways to tell us how good they are over and over again, and it's not really true about 2/3 of them, right? Escobar's been extremely successful, yes, but the other two have done nothing. So I just need something more than just telling us you're dominant, because you're not. We actually watch, right? So anyways,
right.
I thought like the words and stuff were cool, but it doesn't match what we've been shown over time. But anyways.
Yeah.
So then we get the furthering of the Xia Li Boa storyline segment, but they're not involved at all this week. So this package was about Tien Sha, who is the master that Xia Li and Boa have been taking orders from, and this was basically her origin story. So the way it goes took me a long time.
I've watched it a couple times.
Because again, I was captivated, so I didn't take notes. And trying to borrow some other people's notes, it took forever to find somebody.
I can try to help if you want.
Oh no, it just took me forever to find a very detailed one, and it's good. It just took me a long time. So most people were like, "Oh, she says stuff that I couldn't understand or whatever." But here it is: an honorable king once had a son and a younger daughter. The son was corrupted by greed and killed the father. The daughter, Mei Ying, fled into exile. She asked a dragon to teach her how to get vengeance, which he agreed in return for her soul. He taught her 4 things, the last of which was to reclaim her throne. Once she had, she realized that she'd have to become what she feared and instill fear in others. So, your thoughts before I speak?
I've seen this a couple times. I still don't know how I feel about it. It was just really weird. So let me get this straight. They're working for a 1,000-year-old being who has no soul. Like,
right. And what's weirder?
It really is weird.
I don't have a problem with it. Me, the guy, and it's kind of hypocritical, right? Like, I don't like the magic and some of the fiend stuff, but this, I didn't mind it. So
I didn't hate it because, like I said, I don't
it's
know
very
how
strange,
I feel about
for
it.
Sure.
I don't know if I dislike it. I don't know if I like it.
And we talked about it a little bit. It's very Lucha Underground, right? This is a very Lucha Underground origin story. In fact, we just saw the one for Prince Puma on the last episode we watched, right? Where they explain his history and all of that. The only difference, and I think it's a glaring difference, is that the NXT commentators have to acknowledge it after. So we talked about how Lucha Underground would do this thing where all of the bizarre stuff that was going on, the commentators didn't know about it because this makes them kind of look ridiculous. There's no way that they could acknowledge this without looking kind of dumb, I thought. So that part I didn't love, but I think I like this, and it's a nice way to gently nudge this story further, right? I can't believe WWE has resisted the temptation to just blast through this story, because that's generally what they do, is just race through it.
Especially when it's lower card like this.
And I'm still intrigued after all this time. At the very least, NXT deserves part marks for trying something new and outside their comfort zone. And I like the idea that my favorite part about the story of the leader is the part where she has to become what she feared and has to instill fear in others. So it's like this reluctant evil person, right? That basically she has no choice.
I don't know if I like that bit or like...
I liked it.
'Cause it's like she becomes what she tried to stop.
Yes, because in order to sort of fix everything her brother has broken by being a greedy, she's had to learn how to fight and do things she doesn't want to do to restore things, right?
I guess,
and be the person she doesn't want to be for the betterment of whatever. So I'm kind of interested in it. Definitely weird.
I still don't know how I feel about this.
That's fair.
I don't know.
That's fair. We can reflect and we'll talk about it again next week and see what they do next. I just thought it was a cool way to not have Zaya in a match again right away and sort of switching it up, right? And keeping the things going, but in a different way. So I was okay with it.
Yep.
We then get the Dusty Cup quarterfinals for the men's side now, and that is Lucha House Party versus Mendoza and Wild of Legado.
So they're around behind the women's cup because the women's had less teams, so
right, fewer teams.
Yeah.
Countable versus uncountable nouns. Anyways,
sure.
Mendoza and Metalik start and display quickness before Dorado is in and hits a head scissors and a springboard moonsault. The heels then double team Dorado, ending in a double sliding drop kicks for a 2 count. Dorado's then isolated by Legado, and he eventually escapes with an up kick and a tag to Metalik. Metalik hits some moves because there's a lot happening and they're complicated and I can't keep up, so too bad. And then gets caught and knocked off the ropes by a sudden kick from Mendoza that I actually thought looked good, so he ends up toppling over the ropes to the floor. Metalik, that is. Wild takes out Metalik on the outside heading into the commercial. Then we get a sunset bomb by Metalik, who needs to make a tag. Both finally do tag, and Dorado is on fire, dominates Wild, leading to a crossbody for a 2 count. We get a handspring cutter by Dorado for 2. Mendoza comes in to break up a pinfall, but gets thrown right back to the outside. Wild mostly hits a cool rope climb flipping DDT.
Yeah, he hits a DDT on one of them, and the other one he kind of like pulls in like an arm drag.
Yeah, he sort of gets them both in a knuckle lock, right? Then walks up the ropes right in the middle, and then backflips into DDTs. But he sort of missed the one on Metalik, but it still is really cool already. And if he hits it cleanly, that's really neat. Wild is backdropped outside, and Metalik hits a Rana to Mendoza off the ropes to the outside on top of Wild, immediately followed by a huge moonsault to the outside by Dorado. Blind tag and Legado hit their Russian leg sweep kick combo for the win.
Yeah, they kind of transitioned into it well, so
I thought it looked really nice too.
Yep.
So MSK then come out to speak to Legado. Legado are in their way, and next week it's MSK all night and all day. Thoughts, my son?
The aftermath promo was whatever, but the match was pretty good. I liked the sudden kind of finish.
Me too, actually.
Just a cooler way to do their finisher. And I think Wild's DDT thing was cool if it was
he gets it clean
better, right? Yep. But I think they definitely did better than they usually did. So
yeah, I thought it was another entertaining match. It was basically nonstop action. I'm not a huge fan of either of these teams, but it's not because of the work they do in the ring, right? It's other things generally. So this was a fun sprint followed by a rather weak but mercifully short MSK promo. I thought they sounded really bad and I want to love them.
Yeah, I did
but
not
that was
love
not
that promo.
Their thing right there. We then see Lorcan and Birch heading into the arena, and then we get Thatcher and Ciampa backstage sort of getting ready for their match. Thatcher's swinging around like it's like a sledgehammer almost, but not quite. Anyways, it was interesting. We then have Pete Dunne, and he leads Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch to the ring for a quick promo. Dunne says that he is finished waiting, and he snapped Finn's fingers last week to sort of remind Finn of this fact. Balor comes out right away, and he joins Dunne in the ring. Finn says that Pete is still waiting in line behind his cronies, sort of implying you had to bring backup to talk to me. So Dunne sends Lorcan and Burch out of the ring. Once inside the ring, Finn grants Dunne his opportunity at the NXT title at TakeOver Vengeance Day. Yes, which is what I put in brackets because that match should be awesome. Then Edge's music hits and he comes out.
Woo!
He says that WWE often focuses on the E, meaning the entertainment, but that NXT focuses on the second W, meaning wrestling. And that's fun. He's a fan of NXT and puts it over as a place where he regained his passion.
Oh my god, this is another generic Edge pandering promo.
He sees a lot of himself, good and bad, in Dunne.
I was just like, as soon as I saw this, I watched this on YouTube before we watched it. I was like, that's the kiss of death right there. That's exactly what Sting said to Darby Allin. And now I don't really want to watch Darby Allin. So I have a feeling, especially because it's WWE, if Edge stays around longer, yeah, I hope he won't. Then I won't like Pete Dunne.
He puts over Balor being on another level right now. Edge promises to watch TakeOver because the NXT title is something he's never had. Ooh.
I wonder why.
It's intriguing to him, and their fight may cause him to make his choice.
Oh my god.
So I think we've got your thoughts on that.
When he says he's never had the title, yeah, there's a very specific reason for that. This was a developmental league, and you were, like, kind of old now. And this is still sort of developmental, so I don't understand why he's here.
So
And I don't think he's going to challenge for the title anymore. He's probably going to go for Roman, maybe even Drew. So I don't understand the point. Andy was a non-draw.
So I'm proud of my last line of this, so I think you'll like it. So Edge did a fine job here. I just hate any main roster tainting my NXT, and that's me personally. So here's where sarcasm warning. The rest of this is a bit sarcastic. Thank you, Edge, for gracing our tiny little promotion with your glorious presence. These two guys were about to phone in this match, but since you'll be watching, they're now going to bust their butts to impress you. Right? I wanted either of these guys to slap him for being such a condescending knob. And here's the line that I liked. Sorry to pat myself on the back. The irony of Edge showing up to praise NXT for focusing on wrestling and not entertainment, while not wrestling and providing entertainment, amused me. Right? Like, man, you guys really focus on wrestling and not entertainment. But no, I'm not here to wrestle. I'm just here to entertain. Awesome. So yes, don't need Edge in my NXT. No offense, Edge. Good Canadian boy. Don't need him here.
Nice.
Johnny Gargano is then interviewed, and he starts by
whatever that was better than Edge's promo.
He starts by putting over Candice and Indy and the likelihood that they will win the Dusty Cup. He then gets told he's facing Kushida at TakeOver, and he freaks out and calls the new interviewer, who I don't know her name.
Out. Oh yeah, she's like as bad as Mackenzie Mitchell.
Johnny calls her a liar and starts to take her and the cameraman to go to see Steven Regal, and says that she'll
Steven Regal, bro, WCW?
William Regal, I don't know. That she'll likely be fired for lying to him. Then after the commercial break, Johnny shows up with the interviewer at Regal's door. Kushida opens the door and says Johnny needs an appointment because Mr. Regal is busy. Johnny hits Kushida right away with a cheap shot, and they fight until Kushida runs and kicks Johnny in the arm before things get broken up.
I don't want to see this match.
Thoughts, sir?
Johnny was funny, just kind of like freaking out because he doesn't want to face Kushida.
Yeah.
I don't want him to face Kushida because I don't want to see Kushida, but probably going to see Kushida.
I guess this was fine because it builds the Gargano Kushida match somewhat.
Yes, but I don't really want to see this match.
I don't know, not really. I just want to support Johnny, but this fear of certain words thing he's doing right now is really weak to me.
It was like kind of funny at first with like the wheel thing.
Yeah, but now it's you can't say curse, you can't say Kushida, like whatever. Combine that with a feud kind of out of nowhere, right? With a not very interesting Kushida, I'm kind of disappointed. The match itself might be good. And I think you would agree, we're really used to caring about Gargano pay-per-view matches due to some sort of strong build, right?
Yeah.
Like
when he was a babyface, I think it was impossible not to care about one of his
It's half
matches.
the battle with him is his ability to just build feuds and do the acting part leading up to it, and it's not really happening here, so I'm not thrilled.
Like, I think he's done about as good as he could have with the heel gimmick. I think despite him doing pretty well, it's time for him to go back to what he does best.
Agree. Then we're going to get an early 2021 match of the year candidate with Jesse Kamea taking on Toni Storm. Sorry, I couldn't get through that without laughing.
I chuckled when I just saw Jesse Kamea. And then I saw it was Toni Storm facing her. And I was just like, oh boy.
Tony starts out hot and gets a 2 after a boot and a sliding clothesline, while Robert Stone confirms at ringside that Kamea is with the Robert Stone brand now.
Wow, because that's going to do wonders for her career.
Kamea then surprisingly gets some offense, right? She drops Storm across the top turnbuckle for 2. Then she hits a sliding kick. But then Mercedes Martinez hits the ring and attacks Kamea first. So technically that leads to a DQ win for Kamea because attacking Kamea is helping Toni Storm. Picks a big win up here.
Right.
Flying up the rankings. Yeah. So as Tony
She's going to be ranked number 5 in no time.
As Tony and Mercedes brawl in the ring, Io Shirai comes out. She calmly sits on the top rope with her title and watches them go at it. As they head outside, she takes them out with a moonsault. Thoughts?
Match is literally nothing, so I have no thoughts. And then the aftermath is just setting up a title match that I don't care too much about, thanks to Toni Storm.
I think it'll be alright.
Yeah, I'm not dreading it, but I just there's not much build to it.
Yeah,
I think it would have been much more interesting as a one-on-one match, not just because of Toni Storm, but I think because Mercedes attacked Io Shirai, so I just think they could have a better one-on-one match.
But I really hope it's not a triple threat because they're gonna pull that whole get the belt off Io without her getting pinned.
Yeah,
that's my fear. So yeah, this wasn't really a match. It was just a way to have Storm and Martinez interact again and to establish Kamea as part of the Robert Stone brand, I guess. Kamea actually got some offense in and a win, so that's nice for her.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then we move into Emmy Award-winning actor Kurt Stallion in a package here. Stallion has worked hard to get this position, and he has Escobar backed into a corner, and he will make Texas proud.
He should want to make Michigan proud.
I thought this was not great, but considerably better than last week. Maybe just because it was way shorter, but it still wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And at least they're trying to let this guy speak. And again, this is developmental. I can't be too harsh. This is where people are supposed to get better, right? So maybe he will.
Yeah.
Then we get
hoping,
a super brief Grimes package to remind us he still exists and that he'll be here next week. Yay!
I was like, wait. Yeah, where's he been?
Right, and he's awesome when we love him, so it'd be nice to have him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, like swap him in for everything you're doing with Kushida, in my opinion. Like, give him that time instead. Anyways.
I mean, Gargano's a heel, but like.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, not in the program, but just in general.
In general, the attention and the time.
Right, just have him on the show.
Right. Then we're gonna get the Cruiserweight Championship match, which is Santos Escobar versus Kurt Stallion, and they're really all of a sudden. And this bugged me because I feel like they could have built this up in the weeks before because it's the story of a small town kid, right? Versus a guy born into wrestling royalty in Santos Escobar.
Does he have family lineage? Like,
this is one of those don't show us, just tell us that annoys me, right? Like, where is this coming from all of a sudden? And if I'm not saying that's even a bad way to go, but why not build that up and let us know before the actual match is happening? Because I feel like, and again, my memory's not the best, but I feel like this is the first they're mentioning of this dynamic, right? Like, small town kid who had to fight for everything versus guy born into wrestling royalty. Okay, I don't know, maybe.
If you say so.
Yeah. Anyway, strikes and kicks to start, with Escobar knocking Stallion down multiple times. Escobar released an arm submission to hit a nice drop kick before reapplying the hold, as Scarlett now comes out to watch the match from the stage. We get a big chop, Irish whip, double running knees, and a suplex by Escobar. Stallion escapes for a second, but gets caught in a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. I was shocked at how little Stallion got in this, but that's okay. Escobar looks at Scarlett, and Stallion attempts a roll-up, and then clotheslines Escobar to the floor. Back from commercial now with Escobar in control on the floor before rolling Stallion into the ring. More holds so Escobar can look at Scarlett. Muscle Buster grip neck breaker to Stallion for 2, which I thought was cool. He basically has Stallion up in a Muscle Buster and then just drops to his knees. Yeah. And it looks like it would hurt, man. I don't know. Yep. I thought it was cool. A single leg crab to Stallion transitioned into a crossface, then transitioned into some other submission hold. I thought this match was showing a bit more of...
Now that I think of it, I kind of wish Karrion Kross used a submission called the crossface instead of a crossface, and then it's like with a K.
For his own brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this showcased a bit more of mat work by Escobar in this match. But anyways, Stallion does get a little bit of a flurry, including forearms and a suplex here. A suicide dive and a top rope splash by Stallion for 2. And then a suplex in the corner by Escobar to shift the momentum. He suplexes him into the turnbuckles, which I always think's... I don't know how there's a safe way to take that, to be honest. It looks like it would hurt. We get a jumping kick, phantom driver, love it. And the double underhook vertical face buster is what I'm going to say for the win. I love that little combination.
He calls it legato.
Okay. The kick, the phantom driver, the legato. Happy? I like that.
I'm saying it's easier to say.
I like that combination of moves.
Yeah. I'd rather use the phantom driver because remember there was the one time where he kind of butchered legato and it didn't look super effective.
Would reverse the two as well. The legato leads to the phantom driver because the phantom driver looks awesome.
And like, say you're dropping him on your knee, right? Like, he could hang on to that double underhook grip and then transition it into the phantom driver, right?
Write him an email. He should.
Right? Like, I think it would work.
I agree. Because it looks more devastating than the legato, in my opinion. I would switch them up.
It just works better. It's a simple driver, right?
Yep.
But I think he could do legato, kind of hold on to it, and then transition right into phantom driver.
I like it.
Yep.
Cross comes out and destroys Wild and Mendoza before stepping into the ring with Escobar. Cross gives Escobar the gift of time. He's speaking here. Gives him the gift of time to think about the inevitable. Run along. Tick-tock.
Oh my God, Cross, get your priorities straight.
What did you think of the match in general?
The match was fine. I'm honestly surprised Stallion didn't win. I really thought this would be
Not only did he not win, he didn't get much, right?
Right, like, I was surprised. I mean, maybe this will continue, but I guess Escobar's busy with the feud that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
And Cross speaking was not the best.
I was pleasantly surprised at how dominant Escobar was. I like that, actually.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. I was just surprised.
It wasn't a squash, but Stallion did little, and I'm fine with that because he's done nothing here, right, so far.
Yeah, I think they need to build him up more, maybe for a rematch.
And we do kind of like him. We want to like him at least. The match was decent. Escobar showed off some mat work, as I said. If only, excuse me, I feel like the mat work at times was just forced so that he could be looking at Scarlett, right, and keeping his eye on her.
Right.
But again, that if we're going kayfabe, maybe that's a good strategy, right? You do want to keep your eye on her in case Cross joins her.
Right.
I actually kind of like Cross getting involved with Escobar, and only because there's nothing going on with the cruiserweight title or division anyways, and Escobar is cool, and I still want to see him.
Yeah, I just wish it made more sense. Like, Cross, it seems more logical for him to at least go after someone in the main event scene. Like, I don't know, because, like, at least then they'd be involved.
I'll tell you my fantasy booking in a second. So I think they're just sort of like hitting pause on the division for a second, and hopefully Escobar does something more interesting. So here's what I would like, is Escobar puts on a really good showing and beats Cross, and then Cross is gone. Like, he can put him over on the way out. You know what I mean? As the standard practice. If you're going main roster, why not make somebody look good before you go? It can elevate Escobar into like a heavyweight competitor, which is what I want. And then he could, I don't care if he vacates the title or whatever. Anyways, that's what I would hope would happen. But my fear is that he's just going to be fodder for Cross, right? And that is not what I want, because that could be anybody.
I think he could have a good showing, but I don't think he'll win.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping Cross is on the way up and that he can do a solid and help out Escobar on the way. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Edge goes to leave the building, and he tells the interviewer we don't know that he hasn't made a decision yet. Karrion Kross comes up to him with his shirt on now, like magically seconds after being in the ring, right? He now is dressed differently somehow. Anyways, and he says he has a big decision to make. Kross hopes that Edge chooses logically and not emotionally, because Kross will be the champ, not Finn or Pete. Edge says words like that motivate him to come back here, which Kross might not like. Thoughts?
This is fine. I do like Kross threatening him, and Edge needs to go.
I actually thought they both were good here. I liked the intensity. And it's funny you said they should go, because I said Edge should take Kross to main roster with him. They can just go together. But I do like Kross saying, like, be careful what you wish for, because it might be me with that belt. I kind of thought that was cool, right? Like, if you do choose to come after this title, it's going to be me with it, and you probably don't want that. So I thought that was a cool route for him to go.
I don't think Edge would, in real life, would want to do that match, because all those Saito suplexes, that's risky.
Right. The commentators then run down the Vengeance Day pay-per-view card for us before the main event. So what they showed us so far, or what I found, I think, is we have the championship match with Balor and Pete Dunne, obviously. North American title match with Gargano and Kushida.
I'm afraid Kushida's going to win.
Women's championship match, Io Shirai, Mercedes Martinez, Toni Storm. And then we get the Dusty Rhodes Tag Classic Finals, which is either going to be Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, or Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, depending on that semifinal.
It's probably going to be Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, because they're baby faces.
And then that makes sense, right? And then the men's Dusty Rhodes Classic Finals, MSK or Legado del Fantasma versus Grizzled Young Veterans or Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, because we don't know.
Or Undisputed Era.
Right, we don't know. Well, sorry, yeah. I sort of looked at that after. So, main event time. And that is
I don't know why when you were talking about the Dusty Classics, I forgot for a second who the tag champs were, so that's not good.
That is not good. And that's part of the issue, right? Is they are a non-factor lately. Main event time.
Because they were so prominent with McAfee, right? So.
Undisputed Era, they were. Which in this iteration is Cole and Strong versus Thatcher and Ciampa. And my first note was this could be awesome, because all four of these guys are pretty great.
Right, great. Like, this is a good foursome right here.
Right. And Ciampa and Cole have great chemistry and a history together. So Ciampa and Cole actually start out and fight to no advantage for quite a while, but in a good way, I put. Then each man tags out to the freshmen, and they deliver more of the same evenly matched stuff, but again, not in a bad way. Like, I kind of like this, because they are all super talented. It was like, no matter what combination we get into, it's very evenly matched, right? So I thought that was a cool sort of story to start telling. We go back to the original two competitors, and Ciampa hits a big back elbow to finally take control of the match. Strong is isolated in the heel corner with stomps and frequent tags. Strong finally fights his way free, and all 4 end up in the ring heading into the commercial. Thatcher has a hold applied to Strong as we return, and he transitions into a modified surfboard. Ciampa tags in for a strike exchange.
Yeah, you're thankful for Wade Barrett there.
Yeah, Wade Barrett actually called some moves for me, helped me in my note-taking. Ciampa tags in for a strike exchange with Strong, and Ciampa ends up with a couple near falls out of it. Thatcher is back in now, and he looks for an armbar as Strong scrambles to try and escape. Rope break by Strong, but then a choke on the ropes by Thatcher. Both sort of head up top, and Roddy hits a superplex, and both men make tags. Cole dominates Ciampa and knocks Thatcher off the apron. Jumping kick and an Ushigoroshi by Cole for a 2 count. Panama Sunrise is countered, and Ciampa tags out for Thatcher to get caught in a figure 4 that Ciampa eventually breaks up. Thatcher escapes a double team attempt and shoves Strong into Cole, knocking Cole to the floor. So we get a big slap and a German suplex by Thatcher, and he tags Ciampa, who hits a German of his own before tagging out again. We get a 3rd German and a running knee by Ciampa for a 2 count. Cole is trying to get back in the ring to help, and he's thrown back outside, and Ciampa pounds on Strong's back. Strong counters the fairy tale ending into an angle slam and tags Adam Cole.
It's weird. They usually call it an Olympic slam when it's not Kurt Angle, so I found it weird that they actually...
Oh, did they call it that, or was that just me calling it that?
No, they called it an angle slam, and I was kind of surprised.
I wasn't sure. Nice super kick and a high knee double team by Undisputed Era to Ciampa for a 2 count. Strong hits the end of Heartache as Cole is pulled out of the ring. Strong drops Thatcher's spine first on the barricade, but as he goes to enter the ring, Ciampa catches him with a Willow's Bell for another kind of sudden win on this NXT. Yeah. Not that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I was surprised at much like the Cruiserweight match.
Yeah, it was kind of boom over.
But I mean, the Dusty Classic has a history of these makeshift winners, so I mean, we'll see. And this is actually one of the better ones. Like, I was very skeptical. I think we both were.
Sure, but they have some sort of weird chemistry. I really like
it's
Thatcher
weird,
and Ciampa together.
I think either way I was fine with the outcome, so I think this is good, and I think they have actually a good chance of winning the whole thing. Them or MSK, I think it'll be. So
nice.
I mean, we'll have to see.
I thought this was an awesome match. I like the first chunk was different combinations wrestling to no advantage, as I mentioned, and then the pace picked up. Everybody looked good, which isn't a surprise. I thought this was an excellent main event with all of these guys are so good. I'm not surprised, right? Like, this is kind of met my expectations. I really enjoyed it. We then get grizzled young veterans come out in suits as Thatcher and Ciampa are admiring the trophy, and they basically brawl to end the show. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on overall product here?
I thought this was good as well, but I don't think it was like as good as AEW, so I'd give it a B.
Okay.
But like less of a B.
So I thought this was a pretty strong show in ring, and I think the in ring was the vast majority of the episode, right? For me, it was a hot opener, a great main event, bookended a show that had lots of pretty good wrestling in it, especially the tag tournament matches. So as well, the Xia Li Boa progression I thought was pretty cool, and I was interested in it. And they at least tried to further the Cross Escobar and the Kushida Gargano stories. I enjoyed this episode quite a bit, and I actually put it slightly ahead of AEW this week and gave it a B+. Interesting. All right, so that wraps up our Wednesday night stuff and takes us into other wrestling stuff in our next segment, which is any other wrestling business.
I have nothing.
All right, so that means it's going to be me flying through some stuff and you laughing at me having to watch some stuff, probably.
Yeah.
So we'll start off, as always, with Ring of Honor. Quinn McKay welcomes us and lets us know what to expect in tonight's show. So we've got the OGK, the OG Kingdom, who are Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. They'll take
OGK? That sounds brutal.
I agree.
Sounds about as good as the UE.
We'll get into it. I find them incredibly unbelievable as baby faces, but anyways, they'll take on the Bouncers in the main event. But up first,
it's because Bennett's like the returning guy. He's like, he's returning.
I guess. Up first, we're gonna get ROH Pure Champion Jonathan Gresham. He's gonna defend his title against Joe Keys.
That's the guy from that thing. Right?
I can't believe you remember, because I almost forgot, but you're right. Keys earned a title shot in the Dojo 4-Way that aired over the holidays.
I thought it was a tag match.
It was just okay.
That was before it, right?
It was a tag match, yes.
Wait, so then, like, how did he earn a title shot if it's a tag match?
No, it wasn't. It was a 4-way.
Are you sure? No, because remember, like, they did the 2 promos was there a tag match before it?
I don't know.
Because remember there was like the Dante guy and the other guy, and then the
you're asking me to remember stuff from many weeks ago.
And
no chance.
The bald guy.
Anyways, he got a title shot. Long story short. Okay. Joe Keys puts Gresham over. He gets a promo, obviously. He puts over Gresham for going to bat for the ROH Dojo guys and helping them realize what they have to offer. Gresham has helped them see the value they could add to ROH. Then his tone changes somewhat, and he says that Gresham wasn't his first trainer. RJ Meyer was, and he passed away a couple months ago. Keys gets emotional discussing his first trainer. He says Meyer was his biggest fan and taught him how to be a man. Keys wishes he had the opportunity to tell him how he felt. His hero won't be there to see his work pay off. Keys thanks Gresham for the opportunity, but says that the same drive and passion that powers Gresham could lead to him losing the title. I thought this was a good emotional promo. My only issue was, I don't see how Gresham not being his first coach is like a motivating factor, right? Because it was kind of like, sure, you coached me, but you weren't my first coach. So does that mean
you had less of an impact?
So now you have this blood feud because he wasn't your first coach? I don't know. But anyways, the rest of it was kind of cool. I just didn't connect with that part of it. Then we get Jonathan Gresham's turn to talk, and he talks about how the Foundation won all of their matches at Final Battle. What fuels him is a love and passion for the company. It's not a job to him. Flip Gordon does not possess the qualities of a pure professional wrestler.
No, he doesn't.
But Joe Keys does. Keys has shown great knowledge and passion during his time in the ROH dojo. He's earned his title shot, but this is bigger than a training session. He better bring all he has for this match. So another solid promo allowed Gresham to acknowledge the opponent he's going to for sure beat in Keys, right? But he also focused on Flip Gordon a little bit, and I think there's something building between them. So he sort of got two things done in sort of a short promo.
Even though Gordon's not in the division.
No, I'm not sure what their issue still is, but I guess we'll find out. So I honestly wasn't looking too forward to this match just because, I don't know, it's a guy they're kind of pulling from the dojo against one of their better wrestlers, so we'll see what happens. So Joe Keys versus Jonathan Gresham for the Pure Championship. Dak Draper actually joins the commentary team and puts over Keys by saying that Keys is one of the guys that Draper looks to train with when he's at the dojo, which I thought was a nice touch. Gresham out-wrestles Keys early and forces him to use a rope break. Keys turns the table and manipulates Gresham.
Yeah, this is Pure, right?
Yeah. So Keys then turns the tables and manipulates Gresham into using a rope break, which I like. He basically puts Gresham into the ropes, and then as Gresham holds on to not fall off of the ropes, he's sort of charged with a rope break. So I thought that was kind of cool manipulation of the rules. The pace picks up after a commercial until Gresham starts to target Keys' left shoulder. Gresham eventually wins when Keys taps out to a hammerlock on the ground. I went over it really quickly, but it's actually a really good match and over-delivered pretty big for me. Keys looked really good. I'm sure that at least part of that reason is because Gresham is amazing and helped him look good. But still, Keys has zero character, and they're still basically young boys, and that's kind of how it is, right? Like, you're wearing plain black trunks, you really don't have much to say, but I thought he looked really good here, so they might have something.
Nice.
Yeah. Next, we get Mike Bennett. He's getting his injury taped up backstage when Taven shows up to talk to him. Taven tells Bennett that he doesn't have to wrestle this match since he is injured. Bennett tells Taven that he loves him multiple times and that he's going to do the match regardless of this injury. I said this was fine. I just don't really care about these guys or this feud. And I feel like they're sort of going to be the focus of ROH at some point, and I just don't like them. I don't know what it is. Then we get Danhausen. I showed you both of these promos, so you may have some input on this. You'd never seen Danhausen before, right?
It's kind of like the Xia Li Boa thing. I don't know how I felt about this.
He kind of reminds me of like Willow when Hardy was doing it. It's like kind of a take on that. I don't know. But anyways, Danhausen says that everybody knows who he is and everybody loves him.
I don't know who he is.
He wants to be a professional wrestler and appear on television and or the internet. He only cares about being rich and famous. He's wondering where his blimp is. Dave Honor better give him his blimp. Who doesn't carry around teeth? Danhausen collected different teeth from different people, but knows that it's illegal to make people swallow them in front of a referee. Actually, he said it wasn't illegal, to use them. He mocks Brian Johnson's manner of speaking and how he swears a lot.
He mocks Brian Johnson's way of speaking.
Johnson got mad on the internet and wanted a rematch. Danhausen is more powerful and very evil, and there's no stopping him.
But isn't he the babyface?
Yes, but he talks about himself being evil, and people still like it. So what did you think of him?
I don't know. Like, I didn't dislike it.
Right.
But, like, I really don't know. It was interesting, at least.
I think he's very polarizing.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
unique. He's unique.
He is. I don't think he's for me. He's an internet darling right now and is definitely doing something different, but I kind of found it annoying, not in a way that makes me want to watch him. He's affecting his voice clearly, and his intentionally like quirky promos and mannerisms are not something I can see at the
I don't think you should be like overly like if you're quirky, do that, but like don't like try too hard.
And this isn't a main event gimmick, right? Like this is to me, this is putting a ceiling.
Kind of like Cole Cabana, very indie.
Yeah. So I don't love it, but I know a lot of people do. So whatever. And then Brian Johnson, I made you watch this promo, and I rarely do that. He cuts what I thought was an amazing promo that I think people could go out of their way to see. This guy is just all anger and intensity, and I think he's
like,
fantastic.
Pac or Taz or
Yep. He says he loved all forms of wrestling and the various characters as a kid. As he grew up, he developed an appreciation for the sport. He's the mecca, but nobody's talking about him. Those damn internet fans got Danhausen a contract based off of a hashtag from some couch potatoes. Johnson is
I really like that.
Johnson is furious over Danhausen mocking the sport of pro wrestling. He beat Danhausen from pillar to post at Final Battle, but Danhausen cheated to win. Johnson's continually being cheated out of opportunities and sick and tired of it. He's going to kill Danhausen on YouTube this Tuesday. I thought this promo was awesome. His intensity's off the charts.
Wait, they're having a match on YouTube?
I don't know if that's what that was saying or not, but anyways.
Well, you said YouTube on Tuesday.
I know what I said, but I don't know what they're...
Ring of Honor is not on Tuesday. Is Ring of Honor on Tuesday? Or...
No.
So then I think it's on YouTube then.
I don't know. Off the charts intensity, and it really seems like he hates Danhausen, right? So
I think he seems to hate everybody.
I thought it was awesome. He does. He seems to like Taz. He's just miserable, but I love him. So go to your way to see that promo. Brian Johnson, it's all over the internet. It's really short, but awesome. Then we get Brian Malonis speaking, and he's known Mike Bennett and Matt Taven for years, but he and Beer City Bruiser are putting it aside for tonight. Mike Bennett left for 5 years, and during this time, the Bouncers became a tag team. Honor is real, and they're going to do everything they said they would do, namely becoming ROH Tag Team Champions. A really basic promo. These guys are not very good on the mic, so I've pretty much enjoyed most promos since the reboot of this show, but this was not very strong. But anyways, Taven and Bennett then have another conversation very similar to the one earlier in the show.
So what's the point?
But longer and more detailed about their history together. This is the reunion, and they are doing this tonight. I don't think these guys needed 2 backstage segments in a 1-hour show, but it was okay, I guess. Then we do get the main event, which is the Bouncers versus OGK, Taven and Bennett. And if OGK are supposed to be faces, I don't buy it. I see no reason to root for these two. My instinct is to dislike them. I like that the Bouncers have kind of stepped back from doing comedy and are a bit more serious since the show reset. Bennett sells his injured ankle during the match. Bruiser has to remind Malonis that AGK are not his friends mid-match, trying to get Malonis to be more aggressive here. We get nice double teaming by the Bouncers at one point. Taven checks on Bennett's ankle, and that allows the Bouncers to take control. Eventually, the Beer City Brawler taps to Taven's trendsetter submission.
Is it Beer City Bruiser?
I don't know. Whatever.
He's
gone by both, I think. So the Bouncers get the beers out for a potential toast of honor, but out come Vincent and the Righteous. And they're not going to touch
Righteous?
His little group. They're not going to touch them. He just wants to know what's gotten into the Bruiser. Vincent has some questions for Bruiser. So he came out with, what's his name from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? Bateman. And then was anyone else there? Can't remember. Bruiser has no direction. He's had different tag team partners as long as Vincent can remember. Bennett was gone for 5 years, and they just opened the door wide open for him. To contrast, he talks about 18 long years in the business for Malonis. While Malonis was chained up like a monster, Bennett and Taven could have helped. They didn't. Taven just bought a house. They've got to capitalize on opportunity, and the Bruiser needs to think about it and dig what he's saying. Bruiser thinks about it and smashes the beer bottle over Taven's head. Then he takes out Bennett with a DDT. Malonis is in shock and checks on Taven as Bruiser walks off. So we get heel turn for the Beer City Bruiser and a breakup of the Bouncers, it seems. The match was good. Could have been shorter for sure. Malonis was exhausted because he's a really big dude. He was blown up pretty quick. The empty arena allowed for the mics to pick up so much labored breathing in this match. It was basically was coming through loud and clear for most of it.
And grunts, I just remember from WWE stuff, lots of grunts and whatnot.
Yeah. I knew the bouncers were never going to win, but I thought they looked strong in this inevitable loss. And they're a solid tag team for the company going forward, but it looks like they might not be now. So with no crowd to enjoy their antics, they've gotten more serious, and I, for one, find it an improvement. Taven and Bennett come across as big fish in a small pond to me. Like, they're a big deal only because they're in ROH, right? Because there's not much by comparison.
I feel like it would only work here or Impact. Like, that's where they would be a big deal.
And they feel like heels, and I don't think they're supposed to be right now. But anyways, on the plus side, I thought this was the best promo I've seen Vincent cut. And since he can't attack the OGK without being fined or suspended, he talked somebody else into doing it for him, which I thought was really cool, right? Like, he basically got the Beer City Bruiser to do it because he's not allowed, or he'll be suspended, fired, fined, whatever. So I thought that was a cool touch.
Yeah.
Overall, I actually did enjoy the show. The opener was really good and convinced me that this new talent in Joe Keys has a lot of potential. The Brian Johnson promo was awesome. The one from Danhausen held my attention, right? That's all I can say. Did I like it? Not sure, but it was, I paid attention, so that can't be all bad.
There's at least that.
Right. The main event was good enough, but the show had a bit too much of Bennett and Taven, but I still actually found it quite entertaining and gave it a B+ grade. There's a massive difference in this product before the hiatus and after. It's gone from literally unwatchable to regularly entertaining, so good job, ROH.
Nice.
A B+ show this week. Then we're going to roll, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Impact Wrestling was a B+ this week?
Nope.
Let's see.
Rarely ever is.
So let's talk about Impact. We get...
Let's do that.
First match is Tasha Steelz versus Havoc, and I actually thought this match was a pretty good opening contest, and it had the solid big woman versus little woman dynamic.
David versus Goliath. Yeah,
where Havoc showcased her power and Steelz showcased her quickness. Havoc wins with a pile driver after Nevaeh trips Steelz to counter the cheating attempt by Kiera moments before. So it's basically, you're going to try and cheat, I'm going to try and cheat more effectively, and Havoc wins. So it's a pretty good match, actually. I like the opener. Striker and D'Lo then briefly introduced footage of Ken Shamrock on a rampage after last week's show went off the air. Basically, it's Shamrock putting a ref in the ankle lock and refusing to let go. He won't even listen to his handler, Sami Callihan, and eventually takes Sami out with a punch. Before taking out numerous other officials who, my description was, who come out one at a time like it's a kung fu movie, right? So instead of just all coming in and swarming him, we'll send you out one at a time so you can get belly to bellied or whatever. Anyways, Shamrock is yelling that this is his house and that it's over when he says it is. Well, it was Shamrock being angry and taking people out, and I personally couldn't care much less. But maybe some people enjoy this. I don't know. It's Shamrock, man. I don't know.
He's old.
Some good news will come out of this. We'll get there later.
He's very old.
Sami Callihan is then shown in a meeting with Scott D'Amore. Sami tries to suck up, but D'Amore isn't really buying it. Shamrock is suspended indefinitely. What a shame. So I'm hoping that maybe he'll legit be gone for a while. And Sami says that he was going to fire him anyways for punching him. A quick, painless segment to learn the fate of Shamrock for his outburst.
Shamrock. That should be their tag name, Shamrock.
And I wonder where Sami's going to go next if Shamrock is gone for a while. Let's hope. Striker and D'Lo quickly run through the night's card before we transition to Rich Swann and Dreamer talking backstage. Goodness gracious.
That's like your dream segment right there.
You know, I love Swann talking anytime.
And talking to Tommy Dreamer, too.
Swann giving Dreamer a title shot reminds Dreamer of when he gave up a title shot in ECW. Swann says that he can go all night, and Dreamer may not even have to set foot in the ring for their tag match tonight. And I know I say this every week, but Rich Swann's promos are generally pretty weak, and this one was too. There's something about it, maybe it's just me. Most of his lines are delivered like he just barely remembered them, and in a way that doesn't feel natural at all. It feels like almost every line, it's like he just remembered it. Maybe Impact chose a weak champion on purpose, since they knew whoever it was just going to be fed to Omega anyways, I'm wondering, right? Swann looks so weak in these interactions with AEW. He's supposed to be the face of the company, and he has stood by while wrestlers from another company invade his show and take all the attention while he does almost nothing to stop them. And for me, it was summed up, I don't know if you remember, but I'll never forget where the champion of Impact, Swann, wasn't allowed to use a certain exit from the building.
Right, yeah, because he wasn't allowed to go
because the
somewhere.
champ of another company said he couldn't, and he had to obey those rules. So I think they basically like cut his legs out from under him at that point.
On purpose.
And now it's never changed. So that makes me wonder, did they purposely pick Rich Swann knowing that this, because I don't want them to do this to Ace Austin. I don't want them to do this to Chris Bay. I don't want them to do this to Moose.
So maybe they, right.
But I don't really care if they do it to Swan. So I don't know. Maybe it's good move by Impact.
Right.
Then we get Gallows
timing, right?
Gallows and Anderson turn to cut a promo. Yay! They hype the main event for Dynamite, and they will do their best to beat up Jon Moxley, because nothing like throwing back to old WWE catchphrases.
Yep.
Storm and Sabin show up and ask for a title shot. When Gallows and Anderson refuse, Storm and Sabin challenge them to a fight in the parking lot. So
when you don't get a title shot, you fight them in the parking lot instead, where you have nothing to gain from it.
But it made me giggle because you've got like 170-pound Chris Sabin challenging Gallows and Anderson to a parking lot. It just was a bit of a disconnect for me. But Gallows and Anderson say they need to be fresh for Dynamite the next night, so they're not willing to fight in the parking lot. Sabin's not believable as a parking lot brawler, and his acting here made me giggle a little bit out loud. All these years in the business, and he's still really bad in promos. Poor kid, because he's awesome in the ring. Madman Fulton with Ace Austin versus Josh Alexander. Striker really puts over Alexander and his style, which I thought was a nice touch and something Josh Matthews would... Josh, is that his name? Josh? Yeah? I forget him already.
Josh Matthews.
Yes, he would never do that, so I was happy that Striker did. Alexander wins a 4-minute match here with the powerbomb, followed by a J Driller, which looked awesome. It was a pretty fine short match with the right result, and the J Driller looks cool. I hope that he can move up the card in the coming weeks and months, because I love Alexander, and I think
if he's not going to do stuff in the North, might as well get used.
And he's not a retread from any other federation. You can kind of argue that he's an Impact guy, and he's awesome, and he's big, and I don't know, just use him. And he actually is better at promos than I thought he was. I would have said that that's a weakness for him, but the last couple things I've seen, maybe it's not. Anyways, we then get an ad for the Good Brothers action figures, and I think that's great. More merch for them.
Like actual action figures?
Yeah.
Or are they the ones that are on ringside?
Probably. I don't know. You can look them up. They showed them on Impact.
Did they have like all interchangeable heads and whatnot? Like
really? You're asking me details like that?
Well, like, did they have like a bunch of stuff? Like,
no idea.
Did they look like actual action figures?
Yes,
like,
they were real action figures.
Like these.
Yes,
right.
like the one in your hand right now.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So then probably yes, the ringside one.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's okay. Clarification questions are always fine, sir. Brian Myers makes his way to the ring, sporting an eye patch to cut a promo. He calls Eddie Edwards the most unprofessional wrestler. Eddie was trained by the greats and was once a professional, but now he is basically a backyard wrestler, which I think is a great insult for Eddie Edwards right now. He wants to challenge Eddie, but he can't because of his eye. Eddie runs in to attack Myers, but Hernandez kind of shows up out of nowhere and takes out Edwards. Myers tells us that Eddie will face Hernandez at No Surrender, and Matt Cardona runs out to clear the heels from the ring. I actually like Myers, Cardona, and Edwards in these upper mid-card spots, but I have no desire to see Hernandez involved in anything. He's just acting as the gatekeeper to facing Myers, I guess, right? So I like Myers' heel work, him pulling the sneaky, I wish I were cleared to wrestle, but I'm not. I'm totally okay with that. It's just throwing Hernandez in here. I guess he's going to be Myers heavy, maybe? I don't know, but anyways. Here comes the low point of the show, and we are back in Swingers Pop-Up Casino backstage. If this is a recurring thing now, man, I don't know. I'm annoyed. Alicia Falaba and Bravo talk about feeling like they are in an alternate universe run by Swinger. The dialogue here is so bad, and Alicia and Bravo's delivery is so awkward that I almost sent a clip to you because this is almost worth watching for all the wrong reasons, because it is just awful television. Not to be mean, but I'm going to, which is what you say before you're mean, right? Who gets more TV time every week with less ability than Alicia Edwards? Answer, I don't think anybody. Whether it's talking, whether it's wrestling, she's bad at all of it, but she's on every single week. It might be like as a favor to Eddie Edwards, I guess, right? I don't know. So more backstage. It's like half the show has been backstage so far. It's Eddie Edwards thanking Matt Cardona for making the save earlier. Cardona says that the old Myers wouldn't hide behind a doctor's note, and they decide to form a tag team to face Myers and Hernandez at No Surrender. But didn't Myers just say he wasn't cleared for... I don't know. Right? Like, didn't he just say, you have to fight Hernandez because I can't fight you because of my eye?
I don't know.
But now these guys are forming a team and making a match.
If you don't know, then I sure as hell don't.
Anyway, moving on. Crazy Steve with Rosemary versus Larry D with AC Romero. Larry wins with a forearm to the head followed by a right hand. So a forearm and a punch is your finisher. Nice work, Larry D. Another fine 4-minute match to try and reestablish Larry as a serious wrestler and not a Wrestle House reject. So I'm wondering, does this loss sort of hurt Crazy Steve, though? Because this is returning Decay. But I guess they're just sort of saying, you know, Steve is Steve, and he's just going to be mid-card fodder, basically, it seems like still.
Forever.
Which is too bad, because I like the guy. And he's legally blind, right? Which is crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
That still surprises me.
Then we get another segment that I guiltily enjoyed for the wrong reasons. And it's Trey Miguel speaking to Gia about his decision to return to Impact.
Wait, who's Gia?
Their backstage interviewer.
Oh.
So this is another one I think you should check out.
I have a question. Does she suck?
She doesn't really do any. I don't know.
So then she's their Mackenzie Mitchell.
Yeah, basically she's inoffensive. I don't even notice her really. So Trey implies that the other two rascals held him back and that he's here to prove that he can stand on his own 2 feet. Callahan's graphics then interrupt and he tells Trey that he needs more passion, which is a good point. Trey gets fired up, passionate I guess, and is laughably awful trying to act super intense and angry. This was more funny than anything. And I really do seem to pile on Trey Miguel every week, but I can't help it. I almost sent you a clip of this to watch as well. I wanted you to watch Trey Miguel's promo, and then I wanted you to watch the casino backstage just because they were so awful, and I thought you might want to laugh at them. But I forgot, so you should check those out if you get a chance. We get an ad for No Surrender before more backstage talk with Gia. This time it's Larry D, and Gia congratulates him on being released from jail and asks him about his reaction to Decay. And Larry says Triple X are afraid of nobody, including Rosemary, but they are gentlemen and would never hit a woman. Well, lucky for them. Tennille Dashwood's right there with Caleb, and they sidle up, and Tennille volunteers to hit Rosemary for them. So now guess what? Tennille and Triple XL are forming a team to challenge Decay plus whoever they can get at No Surrender.
Abyss.
So question. So these people now have the power to make matches, I guess, Tennille and Triple XL.
Anybody.
Not only can they make matches, but they can make matches that force the other team to find another member, right? Like
anybody can make a match.
I guess so. It's what's happening this week. So this made little sense and was clearly just a way to staple these three together for No Surrender. Tennille just sort of continues to drift around this company with very little direction, unfortunately. So whatever. You can tell I love this show so far, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Susan with Deonna Purrazzo and Kimberly versus Jordan Grace with Jazz. So kind of looking forward to this. Like Su Yung, and really like Jordan Grace. So Grace wins yet another. Guess how long it was?
5 minutes.
4-minute match. This seems to be the Impact rule this week with the Grace driver, which always looks awesome. It looks like the idea and gimmick they're going for with Susan is that she doesn't know how to wrestle and has to rely on her friends to cheat at ringside. So this seems kind of weird because both of Susan's other personas can wrestle, right? Su Yung and Susie. And this one can't. So this has been the least interesting iteration of Su Yung so far, not even close really. So the heels beat down Jazz and Grace after the match until ODB, oh boy, makes her return to Impact by running out for the save. So it looks like we're getting like a trios match involving these 6, I'm guessing. The return of ODB feels very WWE, right? Bring back someone from 15 years ago and expect people to get excited. Well, Impact, I'm not. I don't feel like this division needs more talent. Rather, they need to focus on the talent that they have there at the moment and develop simple, straightforward storylines. The loss of Kylie Ray and Taya has honestly hurt the depth at the top of this division, but not to the point where we need ODB, in my humble opinion. Now, it's Big Money Matt and Private Party's chance to talk backstage, because this is all backstage all the time on Impact this week. And they do. Hardy assures them that he has a plan for their title match and puts a bounty on the Good Brothers. Then he feels the need to soften his language, can't call it a bounty, so he calls it a bonus to avoid getting into any trouble.
What? That doesn't make sense.
It didn't really to me either. Somebody has a problem with the word bounty, apparently. And they're gonna, I don't know. Hardy talks about all the money that they will make and reminds them of the percentage that he gets from their matches. Private Party do get a chance to speak, and actually I thought it was the best that they've sounded in a promo, as far as I can remember. Quen did botch one line. Unfortunately, he said title match when he was supposed to say non-title match, so he had to like correct himself. But other than that, Private Party seemed fairly comfortable. And I'm hoping that the extra time they're getting on Impact, right, is sort of developmental for them, and that they're getting better. And working with Hardy can't hurt, right? I think so. I thought I saw a little improvement here with them on the mic, which they really needed. So that's good. Then we get our weekly Tony and Tony paid advertisement from AEW. Khan says that his 3 minutes have been the best thing on Impact lately. He again talks about Impact being his own personal fantasy league, and that this has now led him to allow Mox to work for New Japan again. So this was an entertaining segment, but not as strong as the first few he did, but still better than most things that have been on this show so far. So AEW involvement again is helping them out. Grace and Jazz thank ODB for the help. Guess what? They're backstage having a conversation. And ODB says that she was in the area with her food truck and stopped by to see if anyone needed help. Okay, that's the thing people do. My truck's in the area. I'm just going to go see if anyone needs help in this building. And wait, they just happened to at this exact second. Awesome. Wow. Rohit Raju versus TJP.
She probably has great foresight.
Yes, in a non-title match. So Stryker reminds us of Rohit's mystery associate from last week. We just sort of get the impression that it's some big person. At one point, TJP disappears under the ring, and the commentators remind us that this is where he usually comes back as Manic. And I put, he does? Because I don't remember that, but sure. But this time, he's dragged out and thrown into the ring by Mahabali Shera, who was hanging out under the ring, I guess. Anyways.
Just chilling.
Yep, you know what you do, because you, just in case someone happens to come under the ring. Rohit wins with his running knee after TJP is tossed into the ring by Shera. So these guys right now have been involved for too long and too often for me to get excited about the match. I guess it was just a vehicle to reintroduce Shera on the roster. I do like the idea of a silent heater. We talked about it last week for the mouthy Rohit. Who has been awesome since I returned to watching Impact. So we'll see, right? This time it's sort of flipped. Before they were putting these guys have worked together before, but the attention was on Shera and Rohit was kind of in the background. And I think that's going to sort of flip, and I think it should, because Rohit is a way more polished performer than Shera was. I'm pretty sure if you look, Mahabali Shera was in Ring Ka King back in the day. I'm pretty sure.
Definitely going
looking that up now. I seem to remember that, and he was super young and super green and awful, but he's humongous, right? Like,
I almost
just
don't
a big
want to
jack
look
dude.
that up, but it's interesting.
We then get a Violent by Design package where Eric Young talks about his recruitment of Jake, and this is probably my favorite thing on the show. He says not everyone will get this offer, and that Violent by Design could be Jake's new family, and that Eric Young can remove Jake's sickness. I thought this was cool, and I find EY extremely versatile, right?
Yeah, I think he was.
He's believable, calm and soft-spoken, but still menacing like he was here, and he's good when he gets furious in his ranting and raving as well. His promos are sort of, when he's calm like this, similar style to Bray Wyatt in EC3 in tone, but his words actually make sense, and you leave the promo feeling like you understood what he was talking about and that he sort of furthered something. So he's better at it. Similar style to those two, but in my opinion, better, because he doesn't want to make it so cryptic that you don't even know what he's talking about, where those two seem to want to do that. Gia Miller's back. She might be the MVP of this show. She has so many interviews backstage. She's talking to Jake now, who doesn't do a very good job here and says he'll have an answer for the Violent by Design next week. And I think he should just join and let EY talk for him all the time. Just saying. Stryker and D'Lo go over next week's show. We're going to get ODB versus Kimberly. Ugh. Fire and Flava versus Havoc and Nevaeh again. Good Brothers versus Storm and Sabin. And a Swan Dreamer contract signing. Ugh. Looks great. So we get Moose and Chris Bay versus Tommy Dreamer and Rich Swan. Moose tags in blind, misses Dreamer with a spear attempt, but hits Swan instead, who happened to be the legal man anyways, and they win. Very quick summary there. Moose hits Dreamer with a spear after the match and holds up both title belts over the fallen Swan. And it was a decent main event. I know I covered it really quickly, but that's what I tend to do for these matches. I like the combination of Moose and Chris Bay together. I think they should both be around the main event, though, so I'm not sure how sort of their relationship would work, but they kind of are interesting together, so I liked it. And Dreamer and Swan are not interesting, so I'm all about the heels in this matchup. Overall, this show really dragged for me. I think you can tell. The show was really average in ring. The opener with Steels and Havoc was actually my favorite match. The only thing I really enjoyed was the Violent by Design package. There were so many backstage segments, so many 4-minute matches that didn't feel like they mattered. Impact seems to be struggling for ideas outside of the ones that other companies come up with for them. And this was a C show, and it felt considerably longer than 2 hours to me. I was checking the clock on it a lot, which I don't normally do.
That's never a good sign.
So a C show, that's 2 weeks in a row they've been in the C range, right? So let's go, Impact. Pick up your game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not great.
No, not great. I don't have anything else for any other wrestling business. We already updated our Royal Rumble picks. That was the only other thing I wanted to do, and we've done that. So you said you didn't have anything this week?
I have literally nothing.
All right. So let's transition into our final segment every week where Jackson takes a minute or 5 to tell us about what's new in the world of wrestling figures. And that segment is conveniently called Figuring It Out with Jack.
So I originally only had a couple of things, and then today I just got bombarded with new stuff.
You did.
So that's fun.
Perfect timing for the pod.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna complain. It's some interesting stuff. I do have images I saved on my phone, so I'm just trying to
tell us about them. We're not going to see the images, although I am going
to. Well, it's just for my reference.
I am taking steps towards becoming a video podcast.
It's just for my reference mostly. But first we have AEW Unrivaled 5 lineup, and some render images have been revealed. But the render images are just black and white, so I'm not really talking about those. I'm mostly going to talk about the lineup. It is quite an interesting one. I'm happy with it. We got my boy Hangman again.
Yep,
we got
nice.
My other boy Moxley. Nice. SCU, which is Sky and Kazarian, which, I mean, that's not bad.
Really? Chris Daniels left out. Yeah. I'm happy with that. I'm just a little surprised.
Yeah. And then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Awesome. About time.
And Chase Variance, Hangman, and Mox.
Nice.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good series. I'm excited for that. I really want Luchasaurus. So
yeah,
nice.
the
cool. Tattoo detail will be insane.
Yeah.
So then we got Basic 119 has been revealed. The lineup. We got Dijakovic making his debut in the figure line. So that's pretty nice. Yeah.
Not whatever his name is with.
He's not T-Bar. Nope. Yeah.
That's amazing that you say their name and my instinct, I can't not laugh. If you say T-Bar or
Slapjack. Or Mace.
Who does Mace?
Or
Reckoning. So, sorry to interrupt you, but that triggered me on something. So, I'm hoping that because Damian Priest does the Reckoning, that maybe like Mia Yim comes back as Mia Yim instead of Reckoning and gets out of this angle, or maybe even back to NXT. Anyways, carry on.
She doesn't really deserve to get out of it. She sucks.
I think she's okay. I don't think she's awesome.
And so we got a new guy in the lineup, and then we got Triple H, Randy Orton, and John Cena. So, 1 step forward, 2 steps back there.
Yeah.
And then Lacey Evans, who's also getting a Chase variant. So that's fine. Lacey Evans is fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
Not much of a series there. I might try to find Dijakovic, but I don't think I'll seek him out.
Remember the Dijakovic Keith Lee matches? Ugh.
Oh.
And now
Feels
look
so
at those
long
two.
Ago.
Because I don't even really like Dijakovic, but he and Keith Lee can wrestle every day as far as I'm concerned.
What a time.
Right?
What a time. It feels so long ago.
It's painful to even think about it because now they're both useless.
It feels so long ago.
Yep.
Okay, so then we got Elite 85. We got some actual images here. So we got Liv Morgan, gross, from Royal Rumble last year. I'll show you here. She comes with this white robe. Remember when she did like those weird segments leading up to her return?
Apparently she's just beloved backstage, Jack, and nobody works harder than her. It's all I hear all the time.
That's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Undertaker from WrestleMania 36, Boneyard match. It looks like that attire.
He's got a shovel.
I can't say it looks good, but like that's only because he looks stupid in the match. So that's not really their fault.
All right.
But it looks whatever. We got Aleister Black from the same event, and he's got a weird looking entrance coat. But
that is quite the robe. Jacket,
yeah, but it's from his match, that random match he had with Bobby Lashley at Mania.
Yep.
But, I mean, I will take another Aleister Black because I'm yet to get one.
He will not even be on Mania this year, I would suggest.
Yeah. I have a basic, but I'm yet to get an Elite Aleister Black.
Right.
So I do really want that. We got Karrion Kross making his debut in the line, so good for him. That's pretty nice.
Awesome.
His head scan looks amazing. He looks really good. Nice tattoo detail as well.
No Scarlet, though?
Not yet. I think she might be coming soon as well. Probably in the basic line. They tend to debut females in the basic line.
Right.
Like Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox.
Yep.
And Toni Storm. And then we also got Becky Lynch from WrestleMania 36, I believe. She got Raw and the Money in the Bank.
Cool.
From when she vacated the title.
Right.
And she's got weird double jointed elbows. More on that in a second. And then we also got a new Funhouse Bray Wyatt. And so his sweater's a darker red than the ringside exclusive.
Pants are gross.
The pants are weird colors, but I'm thinking it must be accurate to something.
So
and then
please inform your colorblind father, what color are those pants?
Orange.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Usually I'm pretty good with orange.
And then he does look a little chubbier, but he looks like way better, honestly. And he comes with Huskus the pig, so we're getting the last puppet that we need to complete the set.
Awesome.
And he's also got double jointed elbows. That's because it's been announced that double jointed elbows will be coming to the Elite line. So I must question now, what's the point of the Ultimate Edition line?
The toes, man. I want articulated toes.
But they also have now worse, like,
my finisher's a toe lock, okay?
I guess. But the Bray Wyatt looks really good, honestly. I think, like, where was this body mold when they had made the ringside one? You know,
they broke the mold when they made that one.
Wait, who's the?
Ew.
Oh, that's Dolph Ziggler's theme, right?
That was me embracing my dadness, just as much as I could.
And the store exclusive, you thought this was weird, is Kama Mustafa.
Yeah, the ultimate fighting machine.
Yes, the supreme fighting machine.
Ah, dang it.
Yes.
I thought I was cool and knew something for a second. Way to take it away from me.
He's from, what's the 5th month? May, right? Yeah, May.
I like when you have to figure that out on
May
the pod.
7th, 1995, and then Cross is from March 4th, of last year on NXT, because I was able to find the
did you just transfer 3 into March that quickly, right on the fly like that?
Yeah,
good for you, bud.
It's easier. That's not nice.
So proud of you.
And so we've got an Elite 2-pack, which is really nice. We've got Triple H and Jeff Hardy, from SmackDown, April 12th, 2001. It's from when Jeff Hardy beat Triple H to the Intercontinental title. Comes with the Oval Intercontinental title. Jeff Hardy's got a couple different shirts. Mm-hmm. He's got, like, like the mesh shirt.
Yes.
And then he's got
those shirts.
Yeah, and then he's got, like, another one. And then Triple H has the Oval Intercontinental title, which I just really love for some reason, so I do really want to get this.
80s kids know those shirts with the holes in it.
Yeah, and then the packaging's kind of got, like, the SmackDown look to it of the time, so that's kind of cool.
Nice.
But that's a nice Elite 2-pack. Then we got, I'm just looking at my notes, Ultimate Edition 8. So we got Edge from his Royal Rumble return last year. The torso looks kind of weird for some reason, like, you know what I mean? But he looks really
very good. Like, skinny waist and big lats, it looks like.
Yeah. And then he's got, did you see that screaming head scan? It looks really funny.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous because it's like his hair's up. He's like, ah. It looks really weird. And then we also got Macho Man, Randy Savage. It looks from, like, his early 90s WWE look, like when he was on commentary and whatnot, and, like, he wore the top in his matches, like that kind of
wearing my Garbage Pail Kids Savage Randy socks right now, which are pretty sweet. Speaking of 80s kids.
And then we got a couple toy belts revealed, the Universal title, the blue one, and the US title 2020 redesign. I noticed on the Universal title the side plate's either red in the middle.
Yep.
Which I don't know if that's right or not.
I wouldn't know, obviously.
I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know if that's right.
Cool.
And then we got Basic Series 118 has been revealed. So then we got Austin Theory's first figure. His head scan looks great. Black tights with silver logos.
That does look pretty good.
Yeah, and then we got Finn Balor, who I showed you. He does not have a great head scan, but the attire's nice. It's the dark blue one, and it is NXT Balor. And that head scan does not look like NXT Balor. I feel like he'd have, like, shorter hair and a bit of a longer
It's not
beard.
great.
And just the expression is really bad. It's, like, snarling and it does not look good.
Right.
I do not like it. And then we got the War Raiders or Viking Raiders, whatever. I don't care. We got Eric. They both are wearing blue and gray. And Ivar's looks worse because his waist thing's way too low.
I don't even like to think about them because it makes me angry how much they waste. Those guys are amazing together.
Yes.
Anyways.
And speaking of
so
them,
angry.
Actually, I'll talk about that in a second. But we got Jeff Hardy in this purple hoodie, and it looks weird, but I think it actually looks kind of cool. Just like, I don't know, it looks interesting.
It's alright. I don't know.
It's like, it's a normal head scan, but just like, I feel like the I think they made a new mold for like the hood or whatever. And it's just interesting to me. And then we got Chase Variant, Austin Theory, silver logos again, but this time red tights. I think that one looks. I don't know if I like that one better, but it looks pretty good. So pretty nice series. I like that better than the Triple H, Randy Orton, John Cena thing.
Cool.
The other one. And then we got Elite Fan Takeover Series 2 images. We got Johnny Gargano from NXT TakeOver Toronto 2, which is the one we were at. And he's usually got these like weird short kick pads, and then the rest of it's painted on these shins. But he's actually got normal size kick pads now, so for figure fans, if you know, you know.
Detail-oriented people, you will like that.
Okay. Then we got X-Pac from his NWO look from 2002. He also comes with a Kane mask, because I think he did that once in a segment.
I think, yeah.
Not in like the Attitude Era, but like afterwards as well. And then we got Christian from Money in the Bank 2011, his Randy Orton feud with the World Heavyweight title, and he's got a shirt. And Randy Orton, speaking of, from 2004 Royal Rumble, I believe, with the Oval Intercontinental title, so I want that.
Noted.
And then another thing that happened, not a reveal, but so I had a dentist appointment. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember, but because I had this thing that was annoying me in my mouth
from the braces.
And then so we went to Walmart after because
we needed
Mom
stuff.
needed croissants and whatnot.
Yep.
And then so we checked the toy section. I was like, usually they have like a buttload of AJ Styles, the SummerSlam Elite, and then some other stuff. And I was like, okay, we'll just look for whatever. And then I go there and I see a couple figures, and then I'm like, and then I found Viking Raiders Elite 80, so that's pretty cool because it's a fairly recent series and also two people I don't have, so I got them right here. So yeah,
and then I was looking for cake pans or something in a random. Found a bag of figures that we'd clearly bought and hidden at some point.
Oh yeah, so I got a Shane McMahon, a Natalia, and a Jimmy Uso that someone replaced with the old basic Roman Reigns.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. Nice.
So, yeah.
That wraps it up?
Yes, it does.
Nice work, buddy. I think this was a pretty darn entertaining episode, I'm thinking. It's pushing 3 hours, but that's okay. We like to sit and chat, so... I don't know. Thanks to everybody for joining us again. If you've made it this long, congratulations.
Yes.
And as always, you can reach us, fnswrestling@gmail.com, FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram. No one ever contacts us ever, so I don't know why I keep giving those out, but I will just in case. You know, someone might surprise us with the question at some point. But anyways, thanks to anyone that joined us this week or anytime, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week at about the same time, same place. So until then, take care.
Peace.